So note 4, DuPont DD is said to be considering the sale of Kevlar and Nomex safety brands, according to Bloomberg. As DuPont, ticker DD, said to be considering the sale of its Kevlar and Nomex safety brands, according to Bloomberg. Further details in this Bloomberg story does note the operations could fetch around $2 billion in the sale, some of the sources said. Just further from the US State Department regarding those sanctions, does sanction 6 Chinese and Hong Kong officials over actions to erode Hong Kong's autonomy, according to the State Department. Just further updates on those sanctions. So note 4, Apple, this website noting Apple Intelligence and new spatial experiences come to Apple Vision Pro today with Vision OS 2.4. It's an update from Apple from their websites.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Give me 1 second here. Setting things up. Shibbity bop, tap, tap, doobity bop, bop, bop. Skibbity beepity beep. Boop. Sure, got my streams up. What's up, AA? What's up, Barkster? What's up, Generator? What's up, Omir? Good morning, nobody. Steve, Herman, One Wheeler, Marcus.
It's an update from Jerusalem
John,
Post
Denny,
journalist
Samson,
Amitai
Jamie,
Stein
Marks,
on X.
Marcus,
Citing an
Fedric,
Israeli security
Rai,
source,
Gold
says
Runner.
Egypt's
What's
military
up?
build-up in the Sinai Peninsula, potential violation of the peace agreement, says Egypt has deployed forces beyond the permitted quota and expanded port facilities and extended runways at the airports. The security source emphasized Israel is committed to maintaining the peace agreement and will not alter its deployment along the border. However, Israel will not accept the situation and will not tolerate violations from Cairo. Israel is currently in discussions with both Cairo and Washington on the matter, the source said, noting the Washington administration is responsible for upholding the peace agreement and must ensure it is implemented as written, according to the Jerusalem Post.
Good morning, everybody. We're going to look through the markets here. Sorry, I have some, I don't have any really trades on right now, but I have a couple trades on. but nothing too crazy. I just wanted to set my accounts up just in case if something were to pop up on my screen. All right, we'll take a quick look here at the market. Did Tom find the bottom? Did Tom? Are you talking about Tom Lee? Tom's always, you got to understand something about Tom Lee. Tom Lee is always going to try to get the bottom. It's in his interest to be bullish, right? He owns funds and he runs funds that are, bullish funds. So it's always going to try to ease investors, right? He's not going to be, he's not going to turn really bearish unless if things get really crazy. Like, isn't at the bottom of 2022, didn't he become bearish when the market found its bottom? You know what I'm saying? So it's all, you got to be very wary of people that are like that, right? I'm sure that he believes what he says, but the reality is if we're comparing people like oh, Tom Lee, like this or that, honestly, why not just listen to Dave Ramsey at that point? Because Dave Ramsey at least will have a level head all the way through, no matter what, if it's a bear market, a depression, or whatever. He'll just say, keep investing 15% of your income steadily. Right? Tom Lee will just throw some narratives out there, but he's going to be saying the same thing, but probably get you more confused. So you might as well just follow Dave Ramsey at that point. You see what I'm saying? I'm a bottom finder. At least you get some consistency with one of the, the other one. I remember during the pandemic, Dave Ramsey was probably the only person to be like, yeah, I wish I can buy more right now. Basically at the lows, he was like, but it's not part of my process. I'm just going to keep doing what I do. I'm going to put a little bit more in, and be consistent. He's like, but these are opportunities that change. And, then he goes through periods where everyone hates him because the market's going down, and then it comes back and blah, 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 blah. And then you have other talking heads that are saying it's going to, like, what did Bill Ackman say? Hell is coming at like the bottom. Right, then he dumped his Netflix position and it ran up to 1,000. You see what I'm saying? There's a benefit to finding consistency versus a benefit to finding somebody that only talks about what it is that benefits them. Which, by the way, that is through and through Tom Lee. Right, he has a fund, right? He funds strat funds. Like what's the fund? GRNY probably has some other ones. Kathy Woods, same thing. Kathy Woods was a product of the Fed bazooking her, right? And it'll come back into play, but the thing is, it's just ridiculous. Okay, let's get into today's thing. What a way to start it off. Cataly was a granny sad right now. Blue, what's up? That's funny. What's up, JTI? What's up, CH? Oh, geez, Dave. Yeah. But you get my point. You get my point with that. Okay, market net flow has been bullish all day, everybody. It's been bullish all day. That's a positive sign. So when the market, it's not bullish all day, but for the majority of the day. When the market, it gapped down today, we have that JPM collar, a new positioning taking place. It's funny because as we near these levels but by the way, the JPM collar was important last quarter. It's not always this critical, but if you look at it, like it came up to the JPM collar. It's a huge position, and it's important to just be aware of these levels, right? Because as you get here, right, you have some dynamic hedging kick in. It could act as a ceiling or the potential to act as resistance. And then we came right down to the long put. So everyone that was talking crud about the JPM collar last quarter, oh yeah, people talk about this, and all of a sudden they come into play massively this quarter. And they're doing the same thing again this quarter. Oh, I'm not worried about the JPM collar. It's like, why not?
Responds to the complaints.
You don't need to be worried about it, but you should know the levels. If you don't know the levels,
on geopolitics, actual reporting,
you're just doing more damage to yourself at that point.
To 25%.
So we have the new JPM collar coming. I have an eye on SPX to see where it kind of comes in.
Will end unfair trade practices
and how it plays
out.
Will
ensure reciprocity, and the rest of the world will feel what the U.S. public has felt. Commentary from the White House press secretary.
When those things kick in, you can get some pretty wild moves in the market. Like I remember this last quarter or the quarter prior, I can't really remember. The market sold off, and as soon as that JPM collar hit, the market went absolute gangbusters, went crazy. It turned like a 1 cent 0-date option to like go up 10,000% or something stupid. And then you always hear those stories after the fact, right? Yeah, so be aware that's coming. If we take a look at the current levels today, look at if people like what the JPM caller does, why couldn't we just come right back up to the upper daily expected move? That'd be crazy. That'd be a big move. Oh my goodness. But we've already came down here, and this expected move for the day, this was a large one. This was a oh shit, sorry. This was a $7 expected move on the SPY, $71 expected move on the SPX. We're right now at new highs of the trading session currently, as we are still down on the trading session. So this was a buy the dip sort of open, hands down. And what really gave this away was just the selling leading into it. Then you have this gap down. Everyone freaks out. Oh no, the futures market, right? Whatever. And who knows? If this is volatility, right? Came down to the vol range, came down to the daily expected move. If you're aware of those levels, bam, you get opportunities, especially when you start to pay attention to what market net flow is doing. And this thing has been pretty much bullish all day. So we'll see how this plays out. But right now, market's kind of just it's ripping, but it's unchanged, right? It's just very volatile during the day. What's up, Meatcake? What's up, CH? Yeah, CH, what's up? We'll take a look at some, we'll look at the CTAs, Amir. Yeah, and we'll look at the backwardation and all that good stuff. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. It started off really rough this morning, the NASDAQ did. That was some pretty extensive sell side there. Yeah, we'll pull up the NQ for that. You know what's funny is I actually put in orders in the futures market overnight, and I pulled them in the morning. So the day started here, right? And we gapped down, and I started putting down here at 190.50. And then our market opened and it came into those levels. I ended up actually waiting it out, so I didn't kind of sit through this. And then I looked to re-enter as we started to see strength. I didn't do much, right? I did a couple MNQ contracts, micros, MNQ, a couple meaning across a couple accounts there on these little funded accounts that I'm trading. But yeah, we came down to those levels. It didn't hit overnight, which I was kind of hoping that it would, just to get me filled, but no go there. So rather unchanged. We'll take a look at some of these Mag 7, see where they stand. Apple's up on the trading session. We came into its upper vol range today. Look at, what's going on here, right? NVIDIA's down 3.3%. We have Apple that's up 1.23%. We have Microsoft that's down, this was down significantly more. This came down to 367. Now it's back at its vol range. So this does feel kind of like that AI continue to unwind, and Apple didn't really have much like exposure into that, so it didn't perform really good when the AI trade was going off. And now that the AI trade is kind of coming down a little bit, right? Apple's doing better, right? That's one way to look at it. A big fat narrative for people that love narratives. Okay, Microsoft. I don't know, man. You got to be ready to. At some point, you got to be ready for bounces in these things. It's a pretty extensive move there to the downside there. NVIDIA. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. A little bit of an undercut of these lows. Amazon. This thing's trading at highs of the day. This thing got pretty much clobbered. Yeah, to see a gap fill or a bounce back in the near future. Sure, we'll see what that. We'll see if a JPM collar trade gets any action here.
Just further from
and then we had Google that just got absolutely crushed for the last 3 trading days.
Focused on
so these strong moves create opportunities for short-term bounces in the midst of volatility, right? Meta's flat on the trading session. This one got hit to new low of this year. We're coming back a little bit. I love narratives. Price is the greatest narrative. Are we expecting to move back to 561 on SPY? Where is SPY right now? SPY is... I wouldn't have much expectations of anything, but I think that 561, I wouldn't rule anything out. Let's take a look, actually, how much volatility is kind of left in today's trading session. $3.20. That's kind of a stretch, but hey, if that JPM collar kicks off, right, and maybe it does, that'd be a big trade there, because if it comes to 561 today, and we're only expecting, the market's saying, hey, we only got about $3.20 of expectations left, which is still a decent amount, but right, it's end of quarter. You get you know, people familiar with the end of quarter markup or window dressing and stuff like that. There's possibilities. We're going into a new quarter, which also means what? It also means we have new earnings season. Back to earnings season. What time does JPM release its caller? When they actually do the trade itself, we'll see it hit the tape, but it's different. I've seen it like at like 11:30, but they don't just say, "Hey, we're doing it. This is the time we're doing it." It's going to hit the tape, and everyone will talk about it, right? So you can go into like time and sales, and you'll see it here. It'll hit somewhere in here. There's some decent sized orders coming in. They might break it up. Who knows how it's going to be traded? But it's a big order. It's like 30,000, 40,000 on each leg. It gets pretty big. That's why people pay attention to it. It's big, big. Okay. So yeah, market net flow is bullish for the day. SPY holding on. We'll take a look at some individual names. We'll look at Tesla. Sure. Oops. Look at Tesla. Yeah, Microsoft got crashed, yeah. The IPO, I don't know, man. CRWV, I think it's pretty wild to be launching an IPO right now. What a time to do that. Yeah. What a time to launch an IPO. I mean, we keep an eye on it and see how it does, but you launch an IPO in this type of volatility. I mean, it don't look good right now. So, well, it'd be one to watch, but I mean, let this lead the way. I mean, during tough times in the market, you typically don't see many IPOs launch. It's like during the easy money where IPOs come like crazy. They go gangbusters today. Like 2021. Yeah, I think Trump's going to be speaking here soon. I did hear something like that. Can I take a wild guess where the market's closed today?
Just want to bear in mind for OpenAI. CNBC reporting OpenAI's massive private funding round could be slashed by as much as $10 billion if the company doesn't restructure into a for-profit entity by December 31st, according to CNBC. The full size of the round would decrease from $40 billion to $30 billion, according to sources.
Yeah, I have no idea where the market's going to close today. Tesla. Yeah, I mean, what kind of chart do you want on Tesla? Do you want daily chart? Do you want me to look at the daily? Here's the daily chart. This is a little contraction that I played. Sold into it. Now it's coming back. Probably see a little bit of a bounce. I mean, this Tesla is holding up actually rather stronger versus some of these other names. We have, April 2nd, we get some tariff stuff or whatever it's called, Liberation Day. We don't know what the market's going to do with all that.
Stating a Rose Garden event on Wednesday for the Trump tariff plan. Says Cabinet will attend the Wednesday Trump tariff event. Haven't seen an update for timing, but of course something to be aware of on Wednesday.
No,
there will be a Rose Garden event Wednesday for the Trump tariff plan.
It's a news feed. News feed comes out. When has it been good news? I don't know. I don't think it has been. Maybe at like points in time. Yeah,
so
overall,
the
right?
New York Fed versus repo operation does accept $399 billion across 66 counterparties. That's up from Friday's $287 billion across 45 counterparties.
So just to go back to some other market briefs, we were talking about the contraction here happening between the VWAP from the all-time high and the swing low. Well, that swing low is now a new swing low. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this. But the thought here was simple. If we break this 5,700, this area, you can see an expansion of price, down. If you saw it on break to the upside, you can see an expansion of price to the upside. So what do? We broke down fairly quickly. Today, we had a couple of interesting zero-date levels, 5,500 and 5,565. We started down at 5,500. We came right into 5,565. So we're kind of getting just pinned and blocked in those areas. So let's see now if anything's updated from this shorter term perspective, if it updates for me. I don't know if it's loading or not loading. Doesn't look like it's loading for me. I don't trade copper. If we look at CTA positioning, still basically pointing straight down. So, I mean, holy moly. This is rough. Rough. This could lead to a big rally. Let's just say that. When CTAs become buyers, but you're going to have to break some key levels. We'll have an idea what those levels are from an absolute perspective. But right now, they've been net sellers. You can even look at vol control funds. They've been net sellers. Let's see if anything's changing there. A little change, a little bit. But still, they've been both. We have sellers of equities in the vol control space. We have it in CTAs. It's been wild. It's been a wild one. Okay, that's not loading.
And White House Press Secretary says Trump has said he's committed to sectoral tariffs. As the White House Press Secretary says President Trump has said he is committed to sectoral tariffs. And she does also add that Bessent, Navarro and Miller consulted with Trump on tariffs.
Tesla is expected to release first quarter deliveries on Wednesday. Yeah, and I'm assuming that the market expects them to be bad, but that might be a good thing if they just come in line, right? If the delivery stuff. I haven't looked at when that is or when it, but my guess is the market kind of front runs it, right? It's a discounting mechanism. So maybe the market anticipates them to be bad. So if they come in good, maybe that's a great thing for the market. If it comes in as expected, well, the market already priced it in. If it comes in way worse than expected, then the market probably has to reprice that. Yeah, we'll look at NVIDIA. So are you talking about, so Tesla, are you talking about this little head and shoulder right over here is what you were talking about? Big head and shoulder, I guess. Is that somebody who was mentioning a head and shoulder? Yeah, sure. So that'd be like 160, you know, a full measured move. I don't know, like, sure. Right, but I'm not gonna like put the trade on to come down to these levels. If it starts turning around and it looks good from an intraday perspective, I'll still trade it. Right now, it doesn't look that great. It kind of looks like it's just wedging and flagging, right? After a strong move down, meaning that it could probably potentially take lower, but I'm not much of a short seller myself. I'd rather just be in cash and or do small shots here and there from other perspectives. You know, one of the more recent trades that I took was Kroger. This was actually one that I placed on the stock market brief show. We talked about this one. Consumer staples were holding up. Utilities are holding up, right? It's more of a risk-off type of trade, and they did good. Even some real estate names have been, you know, anybody that's in the Discord and was looking through the tight list, if you open the PDF, sorry, not even the tight list, if you open up the watch list, and they're stack ranked, right? They're stack ranked 52% highs to down. And if you look at the ones that have been performing the best at the top of the list, it's been like a couple financials, utilities, some consumer staples. We had a couple real estate names in there, right? That's what's been performing a little bit stronger from a 52-week perspective. And Kroger's set up here. I mean, that was clean. I've already exited some earlier and updated my risk parameters. So this is kind of locked in. Basically, we looked at this little pocket right here to play it up to and around this high. It's not much, right? But this is also taking place during a market that was going down. So 3% on this trade, I'll take it, especially in these conditions here, which are just kind of crazy. TLT was another one that I traded. I traded a couple of times. So I'm out fully now of this. I traded it over here, right? And I got out mostly right here. And then I got out basically the rest on this day, but I didn't get out open. I got out a little bit later. And then I traded down here when, if you look at the zones document, it basically became, it was at the lower end of its zone or bridge band. And it was also in a positive trend. And I exited on one account over here fully. And then I exited the remainder today at open. And now I'm just kind of giving it time. Right now I'm trying to position into a little bit more like semiconductors for a bounce, right? So I entered in some more semiconductors, right? I've been just playing around with this, like small amounts and just kind of getting in to sell into a bounce.
Just noting that any country
I still have
that has
Tesla
treated
on,
the US unfairly
a little bit of
should
Tesla,
expect to receive a
nothing
tariff.
like nothing crazy, not a lot. And you know, if you follow me on X, I've been posting my portfolio performance the last couple of days. It was like one day it was down like 10 basis points. The other day it was down like 97 basis points, right? Almost 1%. But the market was down 2%. And then today, I have no idea where it's at today. I didn't even look. I should probably keep an eye on that. I'd imagine it's down. Forget. It's gonna actually take some time to update. It's up actually. Okay, never mind. It's up. Oh yeah, duh, I forgot. I placed a trade on. Okay. So I did get out some of my Kroger. I still have some of it on. I have a Nike position, but that's in... I have a Nike position in this account, but also in like an account that I'm not even going to be touching. Then I added SOXL. And then I guess the reason why I'm up right now is because I did buy some S&P 500 on today's low. Or not today's low, but today's open, basically. Around today's open. Got back from the gym. It's up a couple bucks. So it's up a little bit. Let me see here. How much are we up? It's not going to update because I sold my TLT, so it's going to look all funky. I want to see. I'm basically unchanged for the day. I'm basically unchanged. We're talking literally a couple $100. And that can change very, very quickly here in this market. It can change very quickly. Did I sold? What did I sell? Yeah, no, I sold some Kroger. I sold my TLT, and then I'll probably just look to re-enter if it sets back up. Yeah, that's what I sold. But I mean, that'd be great if it pumps back up. I'll buy strength, but so far I made the right decision because I sold it at the open. Right? So if it comes back in, you know, or even if it shows strength and consolidates, I can re-enter and reset it up. But I mean, when you enter down here and it comes up this quick in 2 days, I'm not going to hold that. I'm not going to hold it. Weekly expected move for the S&P 500. Remember, today's Monday too. Today's Monday. You get big moves on Mondays. 569.91 to the upside. So we're just going to say 570. And then down here, 541.41 to the lower implied move for the week. And right now, I mean, it kind of does look like a bear flag, right? The lower quarterly expected move we almost came into. We didn't actually tag that this quarter, but it came very close to it. And this was what the market priced in for the quarter. So we get a new quarterly expected move. I'll be posting that. Actually, I might even talk about the S&P 500 one in the stock market brief, but I'll definitely have quarterly expected moves, monthly expected moves, all loading tonight. Actually, probably by tomorrow morning into the Discord channels. So that'll be posted, and I'll talk about some of them on the market brief too. You were checking KR and KHC.
The White House
yeah, and you know what? There's another K for you. KO. Coca-Cola.
Mining in international
Look at
waters,
Coca-Cola. This thing's been crazy good after earnings. Boom. Saw a follow-up, consolidated again, seeing a continued breakout. Maybe even look at CCEP, which is Coca-Cola Euro Pacific. Look at this. Look at that. 50-day inclining, 200-day inclining. You know, we broke out of this kind of pivot area over here. I mean, these have been strong. Today we have an inside trading day. So maybe through 87.50, you know, we play it back up to, you know, 88, maybe even higher. Well, yeah, you'd want it to go higher, but yeah, MO, KO. Yeah, they're just, you know, these are, I don't know about CCEP, but a lot of these like quote unquote safety type style names. 400% on Mo. Wow. These things pay a huge dividend. Well, they did. Yeah, they're probably still big, but Yeah, these things have been making big moves. These tobacco style companies. Actually, you know, a new one, I forget what it was, but a new tobacco company ended up on my tight list this week. I'm gonna have to look that up again, because I told myself I'm gonna come back to that. Maybe or it was on my watch list, maybe not my tight list. I gotta look. Why did I sell TLT? Yeah, the only reason why I sold TLT is because it was up big today in like 2 days. That was the only reason. Yeah, that was the only reason. I just trade it, right? So if it goes up, because it went up like over 2% in a couple of days, like it's a big move, right? Well, that's all. That's the only reason. And then I could always get back in. I'm not worried about it. Also, I can get back in even if it's higher, right? I don't mind. I don't mind if I have to pay a higher price for it. I'd still just trade whatever setup it is. I never care about for example, oh, I didn't buy it right here and it went up. Okay, but if you bought it right here, you could have traded it right up, right up into this range here too. Oh, I didn't buy this breakout. Okay, maybe you buy the pullback after the strength. Like, who cares? Right? But this is the kind of stuff that I like. These, you get these, 50-day up, 200-day up, you get the tight contraction, and then you play. Like, these type of days will definitely shake me out. At least, oh, that was earnings. Okay, so I probably would have locked in anyway, so that's, never mind that. Oh, yeah. Gotta get the Zins to lock in. All right. Market's kind of just doodling around here. Doesn't look all that great. Kind of looks like it's a little top heavy. So we've got to see here what's going on. I would like to see some 0-date levels load. There we go. 55.65, which happens to be the long puts collar from this last quarter, from this quarter, and we'll see what that changes to be, but we're just basically right there on it. So coming back up and pinning around 50.65 might make some sense. We did turn gray as far as convergence goes, so we have a bullish divergence. They're not really going anywhere. They're kind of going flatlined. Then we turned gray, right? When you turn gray, it just tells us the S&P 500 no longer is moving with market net flow. And you can get sometimes counter trend moves or chop. So when you see this, it just means that we don't really have, especially when you just have flat lines here, right? Even if you don't have the convergence indicator and you're just looking at momentum, these flat lines just tell a story in of itself, right? Now, if this starts cranking up, the green line starts cranking up, and the red line starts diverging from it, that's very bullish, especially if the market's coming down and you start to see this behavior. It's like, it's a pretty positive sign. I love seeing that, especially when price comes into key levels. So, yeah, we'll pull up oil. Yeah, oil's been doing pretty strong today, which is kind of interesting, right? Because if you look at, yields today, right? Look at yields, right? They started very low today, and then we're coming back. We're at highs a day for the 10-year, right? And then if you look at oil, right? Oil is a great leading indicator of 10-year yields. This one's up 3%. So oil's kind of big break today. Is this gonna give some more gusto? That means that the 10-year yield's probably more likely going to follow this move. Now, if this is just kind of a big, pop before the drop, we'll know that too. But remember, rising oil is not necessarily good for the market, especially when energy outperforms. All right, so you can pull up XLE. XLE is up 85 basis points. It's not really doing much. It's up though. It's up. Actually, why is that not on my screen? There, now it's there. Okay, there we go. Up 85 basis points. You'd think that maybe with crude oil up 3%, this would be at least up 1%, 2%. GEX stands for gamma exposure. How do you access that tool from Goku? I'm not 100% positive I understand the question. Did he post it like in the Discord or something, Chase? Is that what you're talking about? AVGO. I'm watching, by the way, I'm watching futures market here because I am trying to kind of actively trade. I just haven't seen anything set up to the point where I'm like, oh yeah, cool, let's do this. AVGO. So we're talking about a short play on the 4 hour at 155. Are you saying short it to 155 or short it at 155? Oh, for 155. Okay. Like, so I'm not going to even bring up the 4 hour, but I'll just show you the daily time frame. This right here, right? That type price action is what I look for if you're willing to short it and you want to catch it to the downside. But now we've came way down here on a very strong move. So if you're shorting it here, right, at this area right here, and you want to play it to 155, which is roughly right here, where's your stop going to be? Because you may very well hit it, but where's your stop going to be? The market net flow tool, Chase, is from TradyTix. And then if you're in the Discord, you can go to the query channel and you could type in the command, which is like you type in /, right? And then it shows all the commands that you can do to bring up a chart, but it's like /netflow space market. And that's what's going to pop it up. It's going to be the market net flow tool that I showed. But the bottom indicator is not going to be convergence. It's going to be momentum. So when I look at this, like, no, I'm not going to set up a short. Like, I just don't feel like the risk is quite worth the reward here. But if you're looking at it from a smaller time frame and you think that's going to kind of maybe, you know, put in a higher low and then head down, I'm sure you can structure a trade out. But for me, like, I don't want to short down in the hole here. Yeah, that's not my style. Because I don't want to have to deal with the bounce up to potentially come back down. I would rather do something like that. But even then, I'm just not much of a... Like, I don't need to catch every direction in the market. So I'm probably not the best person to ask in the first place with shorting. Every once in a while, I'll post a short trade setup. But it's just never really my style. It's just never my style. So probably not the best person to ask. But yeah, 155 is what, right here? I mean, after the selling that we've been seeing, yeah, we'll probably get there, but it might be a bumpy road. So yeah, you just have to know where your stop's going to be. And then tell me where your stop level would be. And I'll tell you if it's going to make sense. Because if we structure the trade out, I'll tell you if it's a good trade or not based off of risk and reward. And you could trade the plan, right? So if your stop is, if you're going to be shorting from right here, this is your reward. Where's your stop going to be? Or is it going to trail the 5 day up here? Because if that's the case, you're now risking more than what your potential reward is. So you really need to make sure that your position is your position size is well contained. Zoom. How do you read algo flow? So go to TradyTix, just YouTube channel, and just pull up algo flow, and they'll explain it for you. It'd be way easier than me walking through it and pulling it all up. Algo flow is different from market net flow. So to understand algo flow, it's actually it's looking at, just watch the video and have them explain it, because algo flow is what's happening in the background, right? So if I turn this off and this off, and even the SPY, see that green right here? That's actually algo flow in the background. So I'll just quickly watch their little YouTube video on what algo flow is, and to maybe better help you understand it. It makes it way easier. All right. All right, let me see here. Let me reconnect. And I want to bring up some futures. Oh, what's this? No. How do I turn off after hours? Wait, what is going on here? Why is my chart all weird? Blue, 9:30, 6:30, okay. No. Why did it look all weird? Whatever. That's fine. What is going on? Okay. I feel like I gotta change the settings here. How do you make the words bigger over here? I don't know how to change all this stuff. Canvas? Text? Ah, there you go. And I want to make it white. Hey, there we go. A little bit bigger. So we got just basically a bunch of chop going on. This is NQ. I'm just looking at a very small time frame, 30 seconds to be exact. And the reason why is sometimes I like to look at the structure, but you can see here the opening range starting from the beginning of the day. There was quite a bit of sell side here. We broke through the minimum opening range. We came back and we're finally kind of holding above it. So that's positive if for now, if we can hold that. Then I like to look at the tick chart from a small perspective. And sometimes when we get extended readings, I like to trade those. So we've seen a few extended readings today. This tick chart right here, right? We started the day basically at about a minus 900. And, you know, this right here starting off pretty bearish like this. And then I looked at a couple other aspects of it. It made sense for a little bit of a pop. You can see we traded up to and around at about 9:30 Pacific Standard Time, back into around that 900. Even before that, we saw these little dips, and you can sometimes scalp, you know, pick up some pennies quickly if you know we kind of are dealing with chop and even trends at sometimes. But if we get these extended readings, sometimes I like to step in and fade whatever the current market is doing. So if we come up to the highs, if it makes sense from an absolute standpoint, I like to fade it for a couple points. If we come down to the lows, I like to fade it for a couple of points. More specifically, I would prefer it at these minus 1,000 to plus 1,000 readings. So, you're welcome. As far as opportunities for Tesla right now, I mean, Tesla is. I'm not much of a huge. I'm not a huge fan really right now. What is this line? Let me see. Let me get this out of here. So I wait for the opportunities for Tesla. Like down here after this day, right? These are like sometimes these large outsized days I'll trade, which I did. And then we had a few days up like this, like I'll sell into this, especially after the volatility. So for me, I kind of wait for the contraction to happen, like which we saw over here. And right now we're dealing with the realms of volatility, right? And I'll play it from a more tactical perspective. I'm not like from a swing trading perspective, it's just not here yet for me. Like if I was just to say like where would be a good time to buy it? Okay, maybe if we put in, keep these higher lows and then break over here. But then how is it going to get up here? Is it going to be one straight shot? Because if so, then it's not no longer interesting to me.
Comcast and the Yes Network, including as soon as today before the midnight deadline for Yes to go dark on Comcast, according to sources.
So I like to, you know, play tactically. If I build into a position on dips, it's typically underneath or at the bottom of these lower vol ranges. Which we're kind of at. We were there earlier this morning. And then from a 15-minute perspective, smaller charts, right? This doesn't look all too hot right now, so it has some proving to do. So I need more data for something like Tesla for more confident swing trade. All right, market coming in here a little bit. Still really sloppy. Let's look at market net flow. The green line's been kind of coming off a little bit, and the red line's been kind of coming in. And this, we're about 1040. I mean, we might see this JPM collar hit, you know, within the next hour or so. Merck. Some healthcare names. Yeah, Merck is just chopped up today. Yeah, it's not, there's no trend. It's kind of neutral. Not much of a, and you can see on the 15-minute time frame, it's just kind of like grinding down to the, on the 5-day moving average here, holding it steady. So you want to see this obviously start to flatten out, this start to break up, if anything, right? And that might happen. Definitely has to prove itself. Was it Merck? I can't remember if it was mRNA or if it was Merck that I was like, I am not a fan of this. I think it was mRNA. Yeah, it was definitely mRNA, because this is the one that I was like, down here, I was like, I see this thing just going to crap. And then it ripped up. People were like, ah, stupid. And then it fell back down. We'll see. Consumer staples been rather choppy, but it's holding up rather well. Energy is one of the top performers on the year, but this one's also seen massive volatility. We have XLRE. I mean, it's holding up and it's positive on the year. It looks a little vulnerable here, but there are some interesting REITs that have been looking pretty strong. Financials also up on the year and seeing some cracks. So if you want the market to do better, you do want financials to perform here. Financials make up for a big, what did I just delete? I keep accidentally deleting my tickers. I hate how that does that. IWM, this one came down to my stop level. I traded a little bit of it. So this is a new low on IWM. Let's see, Qs. Qs hit a new low. Let's see where this is at from the highs. This came down. Damn, minus 15%. Almost 16%. That's darn near bear market territory. Now, what people will say, well, they'll be like, well, it's only down XYZ on the year, right? It's only down 9% on the year. But if you do measure it from the highs, that's 15% is no joke. That's a big move from the highs. SPY. This one hit a new low, so we get a recount here. So we were looking for, and you know what's interesting? So both the Qs and IWMs got the follow-through day. SPY, we gave it the benefit of the doubt because of Qs and IWM, but it actually didn't have a technical follow-through day. It wasn't actually up 1.25%. It was up 1%, or just over 1% this day right over here. So now this would be the market low here as of right now, and now we start the recount to see if we can get the if the low can hold, and then we go day through 4 through 7 to look for a follow-through day. But more importantly too, I just look at the 5-day moving averages, the 5-day moving average on these products, and then also the gamma flip line, which by the way, we are still well under. It's down here, it's over here at about 57.40. So we're still in negative gamma. Not the greatest. Still got a lot of market chop too. Would you say it's fine to use a 9-day EMA for the 15-minute chart along with? Yeah, whatever cup of tea is. What would be that moving average? You'd have to do the math. So the 5-day on the 15-minute chart is 130 period moving average. So the 9-day would be what? Like 2 something? I guess you just gotta do the math. What's 1950 divided by 5? I think this is how you do it. 1950 390 times 9. And then divide that by 15. It'd be like the 234 period moving average. Is that right, Anthony? Is that what you got? So it'd be the 130 period moving average on the 15-minute chart, and then the 234 period moving average. That would be the 9-day moving average and the 5-day moving average synthetically built for an intraday chart, I believe. Yeah, let's take a look at volatility. Sorry, my bad. I forgot about that. Let's look at volatility. We'll look at the product depth. And yes, we are at 21.3 for front month and 28. Yeah, so we're definitely, we got problems right here, right now. Woohoo. Fun. So great. I'm telling you, I posted out on Twitter the other day. I posted my portfolio performance for the year to date. And I'm just saying, like, because January 31st, I actually kind of came out and said, which I don't typically do, but it almost became to the point I was like, this is too much. So I had to say something about the market, because it felt as if that we were just, where was it? When did I say it? 31st at the end of the day, January 31st. Wait, January 31st was where? Right here. Yeah, right here. This day. This day. Right here. I don't know what I said. Let me go back and let me see what I said. I'm going to pull up my X account. Pin this, actually. Okay, I said, I don't want to create fear with this post, but I do have enough data suggesting that the boat is starting to tip over because the weight on just one side. So when you think of a boat and you think of like a bunch of people on the boat and everyone's like on one side of it, right? Typically the captain will say, hey, even out the weight, distribute the weight properly, or it's going to start to capsize, right? You start lifting over. And then I said, when people realize that, they tend to rush to the other side to stabilize it. But during that process, things tend to rock the boat back and forth and get shaken up a bit. So over here, basically, right, as we're kind of breaking to these highs-ish, if there was a lot of different things, a lot of different data points suggesting that, hey, it seemingly feels like it's going to tip over. So people are going to rush, it's going to rock, we rock, and then boom, we start to see, and I didn't think that this big of a move or whatever was going to happen. I just knew that things were getting frothy. Things had to reset, right? And set back up. So the plan was really just to walk into the middle of the boat and kind of be near the party and watch everybody get all freaked out. And now, the more recent tweet or post was kind of just explaining that, where did I post it? Oh yeah, I said that I got my sea legs, right? So I'm okay with this volatility here in the ocean, but I'm ready to be back on land because I need a warm bowl of some clam chowder.
Just so you're aware.
And what I mean by that is,
like,
I'm exhausted from this volatility.
Decision. In terms of expectations, consensus is
I'm exhausted of just being patient.
9.25% as expected,
right?
By 16 analysts surveyed by Reuters, although 4 look for rates to be unchanged, and 1 analyst does expect 50 basis point cuts.
So, sorry, I'm just listening to that. We got some market movement right now. Seen NQ kind of take off here a little bit. So yeah, I'm just ready to be back on land, which really ultimately means I want to be back in positive gamma territory. That's where my strategy kind of does good. Here in the negative gamma, right? If I pull up the time series here.
Let's look for Lockheed Martin U.S. Army awards. Lockheed Martin up to $4.94 billion for PRSM production. I
mean, look at how long we've been in negative gamma for, including today, right? Look at this. This was a big day the other day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 or 28 days. I just want a warm bowl of clam chowder. So almost a full month, trading month, like over a full trading month, but like almost 30 days, right? So this is, I really want to get this in people's head here because You'll notice that day traders probably post more screenshots and their wins, and they're like, woohoo, look how good I am. But they have no idea that they've been in an environment where it works better. And it's so funny to me because when we see like weekly expected moves hit, like on day one, I always know, I'm like, okay, I can't wait to see how these day traders or whatever, these, finfluencers, how they're going to respond in a choppy market. Because I know personally, when we come into the weekly expected move, it's very common to doodle around there and trade around it. And it was Tuesday of last week, I believe. So Monday we came into it. Tuesday, I knew that it was going to be one of those days like you don't want to trade in the chop. And sure enough, and at least they actually show their stuff, but there was a few traders that were posting their screenshots of just massive account blowups and losses. Probably sim accounts, but you get my point. So they had these big run-ups these last month of trading. Why? Because volatility is here. So when you if you catch a couple of good trades, the market's moving back and forth really nicely. So it's great for intraday trade. It's great for that. But when it starts to switch back, they might be flat-footed again, and they might not understand what's going on. So for me, I know how to trade differently in these environments. Why? Because negative gamma, below decline 5-day moving average, right? In a bearish trend. I look to do a little bit more different type, like a fade trades, playing big extension moves. I don't do swing trading nearly as much. If you go into the Discord, right, if you're in there and you go to trade ideas, you're like, why aren't you posting any trade ideas? Because of the market environment. If you go back over here, right, you probably see a lot more. If you go back over here, you'll probably see a lot more. If you go back over here, you'll probably see a lot more posts. So I'm tired. I'm just tired of waiting. I really am. It's just part of the game. But these times when you're kind of tired and exhausted, you can step away, spend time with the fam, hang out, or you can actively intraday trade, but it just requires more time in front of a screen. And some people like that. Some people like that for a while and then they don't like it. Some people love it all the time. Some people hate it all the time. So it's all different. It's all different. Boom. The banana guy is taking a lot of heat. Yeah, bananas. There's just too much evidence pointing that he's a fraud. 100%. At least 99.9%. Unless if he comes out and actually gets third-party verified, it's just too much evidence pointing to him being a fraud. I just can't believe a word he says. Never have really. And some of the things that he says, then you look at his charts and the way he trades. Nope. He's a product of a bull market. That's typically what you see here. And I even see a couple other guys, seemingly nice people. Right? Like, I think that they're nice people, but their ego gets to them because of their following, follower size. And some of the things that they say just let me know just how amateur that they actually are. But yet they have a massive audience that kind of like hangs on their words, but they just say things that are like, oh man, this guy doesn't know anything. He just really doesn't. That doesn't mean you can't be successful, but it should mean that you should probably stay in your lane a little bit or you're going to end up getting called out. All right? We can't have... Wolf. How frequently do you get live trading? I mean, if setups occur and I'm live, I'll trade it. But I'm not here to just throw money around, that's for sure. Like, I haven't placed a single day trade while I'm here live right now because the market doesn't accept it. Or just is not a setup for me. I'll trade if I'll scalp here a couple points if we get a good reading on my tick chart. Maybe try to pick up a few, and then maybe if that JPM color comes in and it makes sense, maybe there. But right now, I'm not here to just trade just for the hell of it. All right, I can force a trade if I want to, like a lot of people do. That when they're live, they're just like, I got to put a trade on. I got to show people how smart I am. I can be live for 5 days straight and not put a single trade on, and I couldn't care less. Maybe the viewers will hate that, but yeah, my pocketbook won't, right? But as far as going live, I have kind of an inadequate schedule. It's kind of hit or miss because I work from home, right? I take care of my kid. When my wife's not here, and we also run a business. My wife runs the business. Yeah.
It's about a minute now, so on the lookouts for the Colombian interest rate decision. Reuters consensus is expecting a 25 basis point cut to 9.25%.
We might get action right here. Okay, so we've got a question over here. First time chatter on Twitch. Mike, I have a hard time with managing my stops. I typically add them right after the market opens. Okay, but have seen them get taken out right after in the first hour of trading. Wondering at what time you typically set your stops, how frequently you update them, especially for positions you hold for a couple of days. And if you might be able to share any resources that teach how to be more effective with them. I would have to see where you're placing your stops, your stop placement, right? Because if you're adding them like at the beginning of the trading session, are you taking the trade when? Are you putting the trade on at the very beginning of the trading session, right in the morning? You know, I'd have to see like an example of your trade. Like for example, if you just tell me your last trade, be like I entered. So just say like the name of the ticker. Say I entered XYZ, and then I had a stop right here. And tell me what your time frame was that you kind of set it all up at.
Agreement offers little advantage for the Mercosur.
And then I can maybe give more context around it for what I would do. In short, right? In short. What I do with stops is okay, let me tell you some names that I'm interested in. I'm just going to walk you through. I'll pull them up right now. Give me a second here. Okay. And then I'll show you kind of how I would set it up. I'll show you how I set up a trade.
Harris Tech, the company in the Dutch Ministry.
I'll show you a new setup
agreement,
which I am not in this trade. I'm going to just look through my tight list really quick. And I'll say, hey, this looks good. This doesn't look good. But I'm going to show you a trade that I just took, and I'll show you how I played it, okay? And I don't care. Like, I'll show you trades that I lose. Everyone's like, why don't you show your losing trades? It's like, I usually tell you, like, hey, if it comes here, I'm out. Like, what do you want me to say? My losing trades are not exciting. It's like, okay, I lost. Big deal. You know, I'll take 7 losers in a row, and I'll still, you know, if I just stick to my strategy, right, and I have a good winner, like it is what it is. Just you gotta like be okay with losing, and losing is part of the game. So the better loser you are, the better trader you're going to be. People ask ask for tips sometimes. They're like, you know, what's a good stock? What's this? What's that? It's like, dude, the best thing you could do for yourself is become the best loser possible. I'm looking through my tight list right now. Okay, so CVS. We'll go through CVS. Look at this thing. This market is crazy. This thing is just ripping back and forth, just choppies. I'm not looking to scalp a move up though right now. Okay, so let's look at CVS. Okay, so this trade, this is one that I did take, and I'm already out because I just wanted my capital back. But I mean, this looks like it's still kind of setting up. So I traded around here, and it went up a little bit, and I'm out. So that was a minute ago. So let's take a look and kind of restructure kind of how it's setting up. All right, so drawing my little doodles. What do we see? I like horizontal lines a lot better than I do just, you know, diagonals, but whatever. About 68 might be that spot there. But if you want to be a little bit more cautious, I'd say just go 68, 69 maybe. Be safe. Okay. So for example, here's CVS. What would I do? So first and foremost, I do my analysis on the chart. These names, they suck butt, right? They've been sucking. They've been going down, and now we're starting to see a little strength. So I'm just giving you an example of kind of what I look for. not necessarily the bad part, but we'll just say, hey, we saw this run up here. We saw some good volume. Then all of a sudden earnings came out and the market actually liked it for some whatever reason. And then we started to see higher lows, right? Higher lows. Oh, and then what? Price action is getting tighter right here. Okay. Okay, so maybe if we play it out for a breakout, maybe it starts moving up. Well, it broke out and it didn't really start moving, so it needs more time. So now what? Well, we started to get a little bit of a down day here, some more volume, and now volume's drying up again. So the thought here was, okay, I'm not ready to enter here because maybe, you know, this distribution day freaks me out and it might break down and then maybe reset up. But if we can hold this contraction pattern and we start breaking out of this 60, what was it, 69, right? So if price comes up here, I don't need to enter now. I can maybe take a small pilot position, like a little tiny bit, just to, I don't know, to fulfill that little whatever in your head. And then my stop would be straight underneath this. It'd be hiding underneath the contraction of this pattern. If I wanted to give it more space here, but overall, I'd be looking for the breakout. I would try to enter into the breakout, right? I'd try to enter into the breakout, and then I would have my stop underneath this contraction. And the thought here is simple, right? One of the basic principles of technical analysis is markets move between contraction and expansion. Then they contract again. You can't pull up any stock chart, any equity, any asset, anything like that in these markets and say that contraction doesn't lead to expansion and expansion doesn't lead to contraction. That is the basic principle. It's one of the top 5. Okay. So it's contracting, and it's actually, surprisingly enough, if you want to go even more in depth, it's holding up very well during all this market volatility. So the thought here is simple. We break out at 69, maybe put a buy stop order in at 69.01. Good till cancel, right, or whatever. And we break out. I don't like doing that because if it got, like, I prefer to watch it break through, but whatever. You get my point. And my stop would be here. So boom to boom is what? Minus 5%. So what am I willing to risk as far as $3 a share goes, right? Am I willing to lose $100, $500, $10,000? I don't know. Everyone's different, right? For me personally, it'd probably be $70,000 to $80,000 on the trade. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It would be just a few $100. I really don't risk much on individual equities. Right, a slow builder. But my point here is that's where my stop would go. Now, so let's look at Kroger. Kroger was a recent one. So this was a recent trade. What do we notice, right? The market, it's been doing good, right? It's been holding up. We saw this pullback. We saw a nice run up. We saw another pullback. The 50 days up, the 200 days up. And then on this over here on earnings, right? Earnings is out of the way. We saw some good volume.
And according to Reuters sources,
contracted.
Italy is reportedly considering hiking ownership thresholds, triggering mandatory takeover bids in listed firms. And Italy is likely to raise 25% threshold for large firms. That's according to Reuters, citing sources.
Price contracted on lower volume. And then we started to see these kind of pivot area right here between these couple of days, right? So if I zoom in here, you see how this day, right, was an inside trading day? Then this, so an inside trading day means this day, right? This whole day traded with inside the prior day's candle. And then this day kind of traded within this day's candle. This right here is contraction. Okay, so my thought is if we can break above it, that'd be a more positive sign. So I didn't enter, by the way. I didn't enter yet. And it broke down. I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe if it comes back up here, that could be, and it breaks above here, that could be a good entry. And where would my stop go if we break above it? My stop would go right under here. And now where would be a good area to play it into? Well, right into where it's kind of at, right? Up in these areas. And then I'd be saying, okay, I'm risking this much to potentially earn this much. Okay, which is what? About a 2-for-1. So what do? Okay, I'll play the breakout knowingly that we're in not the greatest market conditions right now, right? So I don't typically go big positions, and I'm typically more aggressive if I'm swing trading as far as profit takings go, because my market conditions, man, this market's S&P 500 is breaking through that 55.65. Let me just really quickly check to see if anything. No. I wonder if it's coming in. It's coming around that time here. The caller. I don't want to. I'm okay if I miss it, but okay. So that's where my stop will go. Now, how do I manage it? Well, on this trade specifically, it was, you know, my stop was still down here, so I didn't really change it. But on this breakout candle, I would have updated the stop here. I didn't, but that's where I would move it to. And now, right, I sold into kind of this area a little bit. I sold a little bit. And now where would my stop go? It'd be at the higher low. This higher low. which is what? Break even. So now I have a little bit on, not much. I sold some in it, locked in some profits, and then the remaining shares right here are break even. PC's asking any like tax stuff. I just kind of do. I mean, I'm an active trader, and then I'm also an active investor too. So, I definitely, yeah, I have to unfortunately pay quite a bit of taxes, you know. But in my eyes, when I pay the taxes, I have my, so I don't do all this stuff by myself. PC, I have a CPA that we pay every month to take care of everything for me, both me and my wife. So I wouldn't be the person to ask as far as that kind of stuff goes. This market is kind of ripping right now in our faces. I want to go back over to the tick chart, but yeah, I do not. I'm not the guy to ask for that kind of stuff. Okay, so here you go. Let's look at this. I'm not going to be stepping into this one. This one looks pretty intensive, but I will say, with a reading like this, you can probably get a couple of like points here, a couple of points from the fade perspective, right? So it's not going to hold a reading like this for long. It's going to come back in. So, you know, with the market moving like this, I think that was potentially news or something right now. So I'm not going to try to fade it right now, but yeah. The wash sale rule. Are you talking about? I mean, I don't have that issue. Is it a certain specific account? Are you talking about like the
Rubio will travel to Brussels for a NATO meeting
selling for a loss or whatever,
to 4th,
and then buying them back or whatever it is?
I'm just continuing to notice the pickup in risk sentiment here. So we're now just seeing the ES just turn positive on the session, now up 2/10. The Nasdaq 100 does remain down 0.5, but well off those earlier troughs. Meanwhile, the Dow does continue to outperform, up 0.8, while the EMI Russell 2000 is also in the red. Just making your way here, just seeing a continued grind higher here in US equity futures as we continue through the US afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, I can ask my CPA. We handle it. I mean, it's all handled. There's definitely times where I actively trade. Like I'll be in a position, I'll actively day trade the position. Right? So if it sets up, I'll buy it, sell it. And then the next day, like for example, like I'll trade Tesla multiple days, right? I've never ran into any sort of issues, so I'll have to look into it a little bit more or ask my CPA. But I haven't ran into any issues. NQ is really moving right here. I want to check. Give me 1 second here while this. Give me one moment. I gotta load up one of my accounts. Yeah, so you're saying if you sell at a loss, do not buy that asset again. So I mean, I'd have to look into it, because the thing, I'll take a Tesla trade intraday, right? So let's go over here, right? For example, I'll take a Tesla trade. So for example, if it breaks out but then stops me out over here, but it sets up the next day, and a new setup comes in, I'll take the trade. That's never been an issue, ever. At all. I suck at trading. I mean, I'm a verified trader. You can go to the United States Investing Championship website. Did 45% last year, and I'm up 10% this year. I guess if that sucks, then
just
sure,
you
I suck.
Seeing some comments from French far-right leader
show me your
Marine Le Pen
accounts.
after the ruling earlier. She does note the court handed down a political decision, and the court sort of deliberately blocked her from running it in 2027.
About almost 60, 70 basis points today.
Scandalise anyone who believes in democracy, and Le Pen insists she is innocent.
Yeah, I'll have to ask, but yeah, I've never really ran into any sort of issues, so I'll have to ask him. It's a good question, because now I kind of want to figure that out. But yeah, he's never, every time we go through our stuff, he's never said, yeah, don't do this or don't do that. So yeah, we'll take a look to see if the caller came in. Oh, I'm not arguing with him. Yeah, he's definitely a troll. I'm not worried about it. Anybody that says that's not a good trader. I haven't seen any larger orders come through yet. I mean, there is some stuff kind of coming in as far as the quantities go. We'll see if they're building it out. But it is kind of around that time that we start to get the JPM collar start to get placed. So we'll see if there's if they leg it out, if they just start building into it. And it'll be a little bit more clear. I gotcha. Yeah. And it also depends on what products you trade too. There's certain products have better tax benefits.
And just making aware, US President Trump is just posting on Truth. He does note the Iran-backed Houthis have been decimated by the relentless strikes over the past 2 weeks. Many of their fighters and leaders are no longer with us. We hit them every day and night, harder and harder. Their capabilities that threaten shipping in the region are rapidly being destroyed, and our attacks will continue until they are no longer a threat to the freedom of navigation. Trump adds the choice of the Houthis is clear. Stop shooting at US ships and we'll stop shooting at you. Otherwise, we have only just begun and the real pain is yet to come for both the Houthis and their sponsors in Iran. That is President Trump there on Truth Social.
As far as the JPM collar goes right now, I don't think we have those levels quite yet. We would know. It'd be larger orders. So either they're starting out the position, but right now the current collar we have 55.65 is the long puts. That was for this last quarter. Yeah, exactly. Daryl knows. So yeah, SPX exactly. Yeah, and then futures too on top of that, PC. Yep. But a lot of the trades that I do with stocks, they're swing trading. I've like I said, I've never really dealt with too much of an issue, if any, with him. So I'm gonna ask him and then maybe ask that question again in the next 15 days or so, because he's done all the business taxes and now he's gonna do personals. So I'll see what he says. Oh, okay, Billy Bob, yeah. I mean, I don't, yeah, oh, so there's a couple comments coming in as far as losses go. I mean, I don't even know what you can write off for losses. I'd have to ask him, but I don't think it's if you have losses, I don't think you can really write them all off, right? That's my understanding is if you come in at a loss for the end of the year, you can't write it off, right? Or something like that. You can't do, I mean, if you lose 10 grand, I'm almost certain you can't just write off $10,000 in losses. Or if you do, it's not all in a year or something like that. Per year, 3,000. Seems like it's 3,000. You carry it, okay. So if you carry it over, like what happened? So now I have another question on that. So I'm going to ask them. So if you have a loss of say 10,000, or say let's just make it easy, 9,000. So you write off 9,000, but you only get 3,000 for the year, and you said it carries over. So what happens if you make 30,000 the next year? That offsets that, and you pay obviously the taxes on it, right? Good questions. Maybe I should just bring him on the channel and just have him talk about it. He's been doing it for years for me, so. I mean, you can't write off the 3K another year, right? Because you have to pay the taxes on your gains. Yeah. Yeah, the CPA definitely has it all on lock, yeah. Okay, let's go here. I want to just take a look at the tick chart. All right, so let's just see here really quick kind of what this looked like. So we had this thing run up to 1175. This was at 1110. Let's just kind of see 1110. That was about right over here. So this is kind of, you know, it shows you, right? I didn't want to trade into this one, but you can see it kind of went up a little bit further, a couple points, and then kind of faded very quickly into and around this, you know, zero reading down here to minus 500. So these things do set up, and you could fade that. I'm not interested just in case if there was like the trade was coming on the collar, because if you enter in and just blast in your face, but when you get these extreme readings, this is what I'm showing. Like you can pick up a couple of points here and there. If you're like actively scalping. I'm pretty fine for the trading day. I don't know if I'm gonna active scalp now. I have I've been trying out some of these prop firms. So I got like Tradeify. I did decent today. I tried I'm trying a bunch of Take Profit. And I'm also trying out again, because I tried this one before, but I'm trying it with a new strategy, and that's Apex. So I'm giving these shots, and I'm just trading micros. I'm not actually trading full-size contracts. Well, Take Profit, I did trade a full-size contract, but the other ones, I'm not. To get paid on these accounts, on these little prop firms, I have to like, it's going to take a while to get there. I have to get to like $9,000 just to get a payout. And that's not because these are already funded. So it's going to take me a while to get there. So check back in like 2 months, basically, because I'm only trading micros. Oh, it's all good, PC. It's all good. Those are great questions. I'm not an accountant, so I just can't really comment on that kind of stuff. If he has an issue or if he needs something, he asks me. I do trade my own money, Bradley. The prop firms are just because they're kind of a popular thing now, and I'm just testing them out to see if it's actually if it's worth it. That's it. I tried one out before, and I don't like the rules. One I traded and I got denied a payout because I broke a rule, apparently, which was a stupid rule. And then another one I left the trade on. Sorry, it wasn't even a trade. It was just an open order, and they closed my accounts down. I'm like, okay. So a lot of these rules, but you know, for like basically nothing, you can kind of trade the futures market, and you know, that's only why. That's the only reason why. And then my account, my personal accounts can just chill. That's it. How do you get into prop firms? You just set up an account. It's pretty simple. You got to really read the rules and everything. Maybe I can make a video about them, you know, and like kind of walk through kind of my thought here. I'll do it if I actually get money in the account. If I actually extract money and they don't come up with some lame excuse again, I'll talk about it more. But a lot of like some of these accounts, it's like, dude, they have rules that are so hidden, that are so in depth, and then like some of them are not black and white, they're like gray. It's like they basically to the point where it's like they can say, oh well, no, technically because of XYZ, you know, we're not going to make this payout. So we'll see where that goes. Yep. Hey, what's up, Palm Tree? I wanted to pull up my dashboard really quick here. Holy moly, here we go. Okay, let me see here. Yeah. Somebody asked me if I trade options. I don't really trade options that much, but every once in a while, like, so I'll like, okay, I'll just take a wild trade, you know, like a, you know, $100, risk 100, 200 bucks, something like that. And if it makes sense for like a very short-term play, and I'll hold it to the end of the day. And I did that on Robinhood. And it's just funny to me because it was one of those 0 dates, and I traded it, and the thing ran up to like turn 100 bucks into $6,000 or $5,000 or something like that. It was crazy. But when I went into the account, which I was not aware of with Robinhood, is they have their own internal risk metrics that close you out of trades 30 minutes beforehand. But it's not, they don't have set rules on it. It could be 10 minutes before the close. It could be 20 minutes. They don't know. And the price of the S&P 500 ran up into the close, like the last 25 minutes, 20 minutes. And I'll go in there to close it, and it's just my account was like, it was down $100. I'm like, wait, what's going on? When I went in there to close it out, and then I reached out to them, and they're like, basically just said, yeah, no, we have an active risk management, whatever, and they close it out. So yeah, I had it. So it's just for those that don't know, if you're trading a 0 date, or if it's exiting, you know, that position's, you know, going into the close in the last 30 minutes, at least in Robinhood and probably some other brokers, right? If you don't have the money in the account to pay it off, right? They'll just close it out. So I told myself during the trade, I'm like, I'm just going to set the trade up, and I'm going to come in 10 minutes before the close, and I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to close out. And then I'm like on my phone, and I see like, I'm looking at like a different app, right, for charting. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is going to pay me. And I'm like, I'm not going to look. And I'm just going to go in. I'm going to close it out. Like I said, I definitely didn't close it out. They closed it out. Whatever. It was $100, but still, you know, kind of sucks. But that was my only option trade this year. No, sorry. I haven't traded any options. It was, I traded one option thing this year, but I usually stick to the equities. And then for the future stuff, this is just a sim account. Oh, well. Yeah, no, it is a sim account. So, for those that wanted to know. Yeah, and I'm not gonna fully fund a Robinhood account, so it's just not gonna happen to make up for this stuff. All right, let's take a look at market net flow. That green line be picking up. That's pretty nice. Red line's kind of just flat, kind of picking up there. And we got that convergence back, right? Convergence came in right around here. Got a good, nice little pop in the market. Now it's just consolidating. It looks like we're still kind of waiting around to see, and this could be in the next 5 minutes. Maybe it's going on right now. The, that caller. Oops. Why did I do that? SPX, there we go. Currently up on the trading session here, 12 basis points, just floating around. Let's see what the caller wants to do. For all we know, they're gonna put the trade on, and it's gonna drive us back down. We have zero clue. Yeah, a collar is a options trade, but the reason why we're bringing up the JPM one is because it's a large position that comes on. It's for their fund. I forget the ticker on it. It's like actually it feels like it's hidden right now. It is coming on right now. Yeah, this is it. This has to be it. So you're seeing quite a bit of contracts come in right now. Yep, there. So this is probably, they're building it out here. Looks like, yeah, it looks like this is probably coming in now. So let's take a look here, kind of see what the market's going to do. Yeah, there's quite the squeeze here. So we'll see. Come on now. That'd be sweet if it just squeezes up into these No one would have expected that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it. Everybody. We have 5250, 5290, 4460, and 5800 are some pretty large levels here.
WTI crude futures, they still high today by $2.12, $71.48 per barrel.
4460. Does seem underwhelming. We'll see. The market's kind of running here. See if this gets some more legs. I'm looking at, I have a couple of screens right now, so I'm watching the left of me, so I just brought it up over here. We'll look at NQ. Yeah, NQ's kind of on the move here. I got a trade on that. I'm kind of keeping a close eye on here. It was placed a little bit earlier. SPY's up now 30 basis points on the trading session. So these type of days, let me see here. Yeah, kind of does feel underwhelming for that, but that was it. That has to be it. That actually is kind of right around the same time that it comes out each time, right about 11:30. Yeah. Yep. Exactly, PC. 5880. 4460 and 5290. It could be window dressing, but it's also probably, I mean, this move is happening right when the collar was placed too. Yep. So that's the movement that we're getting right now. My gosh, this would be crazy if the S&P 500 presses up through this stuff. It'd be a big day. Kind of watching just to see how the market wants to digest this. Market net flow is still rather this is bullish. This is really nice. So this is what I talk about when these divergences take place. Both really good. For those that might be tuning in a little bit later or earlier, just so you all know, so earlier this morning on this kind of outsized move, we did come down into the lower daily implied move for S&P 500. So I did actually add into the S&P 500 just to have some exposure after obviously we've sold off already, right? If I show you that on the daily time frame, I'll just use SPX as the proxy. We sold off pretty hard and then we gapped down and now we're kind of reversing here. So getting a little bit of exposure back into the markets for a shorter term bounce was the kind of thought process here. I think that's still very possible that we can bounce. We'll see what the market wants to do with this, or if this is just end of market kind of window dressing, and we'll reset and kind of configure how that might look. But these are still some pretty volatile markets. We're still in negative gamma. We're still below some declining 5-day moving averages. So for me, if I'm fading the market, which that was a fade of the market, right? You're instead of going short down here, right? I'm going long to see bounces. I'm a little bit more aggressive as far as taking profits, which kind of affects me negatively sometimes, especially if we start to find bottoms. But also it's beneficial if we don't find a bottom, right? So if I buy the lows and I'm start to sell it, right, and it goes up higher and higher, I do miss out on that. But then I start to look for the consolidations and wait for it to prove itself before getting back in, and that's kind of how I deal with one of the strategies here in negative
to be
gamma,
aware
which we
of,
still
according
are.
to a statement from Downing Street, the British, French, and Ukrainian military
Yeah, I can
leaderships
take a
are
look
to
at
meet in the
Apple.
coming days.
Yeah, we're getting some movement in some of these, a lot of these names here. So Nvidia. Yeah, Nvidia is still down on the day, but we're trading around highs. Actually, as a matter of fact, this is the lower vol range, and we actually just kind of traded around it all day, and then we finally broke up from it. So this is still kind of a laggard there. Meta's flat now on the trading session, coming back to where we closed last Friday. Microsoft is still down to 1.66% in its lower vol range. Apple's up 1.3, and this is basically just knocking at the door of its vol range right here. Somebody said, it mentioned cup and handle. I'm assuming that you mean this on the intraday time frame, right? On the daily time frame, I don't see the cup and handle. I'm assuming that's what you meant. Or maybe you said and I just missed it. Google's at around highs of the trading session today. I'll go to my Twitch chat here. Good day, good stuff, 69. Conquer. I said Pound. JPM's calling the bottom. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The JPM caller, like, this is not like a holy grail trade by any means. I think it's just important to understand where they're going to place those levels because it's good sentiment reading. And then also, if price action comes up into these levels, just be aware of it, right? It doesn't mean that we can't break above it and go higher. That's not what these are. It's just important to be aware of these larger positions because they can and have had an effect. All right.
And one to be aware of, Nippon Steel's Takahiro Mori is slated to meet with US Commerce Secretary Lutnick tomorrow, according to Semaphore.
This would be the most wild day if we have, okay, first and foremost, a $7 expected move in the SPY for the day is already gigantic. Sometimes we have weeks that are that big, okay? Lately we've been having them bigger, but sometimes the weekly expected move is about $7. The daily was $7. So if we come down to the lower, which we did, and we come all the way back up to the high, that would be bonkers. 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 Relax and wait my turn to go long. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay. I need some water. don't know how old this water is. It's been on my desk for a minute, I think. I'll refresh that. What's up, Sleazy? Thanks for following. It's raining pretty hard at my house. Man, I'm happy that I got some S&P 500 earlier this morning. Holy moly. All right, any other specific names that you guys want to look into? Right now, the market's pretty darn strong. Market net flow, very strong. So this is a kind of a buy the dip right now. Look for dips to be bought. 556 is a magnet, so if we maybe pull back into 556, maybe that could be the kind of opportunity there. We'll see if it does that. It's basically where the market, we're slightly up on the trading session. Caller's out. Oh, I'm going to update my chart with the new caller tonight. I could technically do it now, but I want to take a break. Thoughts on the JPM stuff? I'm just looking at the levels as they came out. I'm not going to read too much into narratives. They put on their collar, and then I'll keep an eye on those levels on the chart. I'm not going to read too much into it. It was 52.50. Somebody posted again. It was like 52.50, 52.90, and 58 something, 80, 58.80, I think. Run, Okta. Okay, yeah, we'll take a look at some of those. Like, look at these charts. Like, so, man, like these just sold off hard. So these are the type of things when we get these big moves, especially when you get gaps down after already selling like this. Yeah, you look to fade it a little bit for little bounces, and just don't be greedy too, right? So if it bounces up, it's still like, say if you bought it right here and it bounces up to here, a lot of people will be like, oh, I think it's gonna go up to here. It's like, okay, then wait to see how it sets up again, right? So when it comes to fading these stuff, just manage risk, right? Don't get too crazy on size, because in volatility, you don't need to go big in size.
Al Jazeera quoting Houthi-affiliated media.
All right, so
US aggression on the Cameron Island in Hodeidah with
wow.
2 raids. So that's Al Jazeera reporting there's US aggression on the Cameron Islands in Hodeidah with 2 raids.
Yeah, I don't know about all this. So this one, this looks rough. Just overall very bearish. But like the thing here is, if you're going to actively trade this from a short, for a bounce. So for example, if you want to enter in now, where would your stop go? It's probably go under 550, like 549, right? And then you play it up to where? Maybe back into this area, maybe a little bit higher, right? Because you'd be trying to catch a bottom, but you have to respect the bounces, right? So we see quick bounces, but then they get faded. Quick bounces and faded. So I can see the case here, right? When things get really over frothy, and then you could play it up. Like just this move from 555 to where we are now is a 6% move. You're below a declining 5-day moving average. Not the greatest look. I wouldn't short down here, but if you're going to actively trade to the long side and look for a bounce, just tactfully create the plan. And once you have a plan, trade your plan and don't deviate from it. Pick an idea for an area for a target, and if it's hit, it doesn't mean you have to take profit, but it does mean something like, hey, maybe update your risk parameters, update your stop to break even, and or cut it in half, or maybe take partial profits, move your stop up a little bit. Like think of ways that you can manage the trade, and then you place the trade and then follow those rules. Because as you put the trade on, you get more data, so you have to kind of anticipate what that data might be. Okta. Well, Okta, OKTA. This one actually sounds familiar. I think this has been on my list for a couple of times. Let's go to daily. I mean, it's starting to look really good over here. This is just a product of a volatile environment, right? So when we're under the gamma flip line, you get a lot of fake outs, shakeouts. This thing was looking pretty sharp, pretty good right here. Then we broke out, faked out. We're above a 50-day, above a 200-day. So if you are going to trade this, where would an ideal stop be? Right? You got to think of these things. So for me, right? For me, I really like corn. No, so for me, I would say maybe if we break above today's high, maybe tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to get there today, but if we break above tomorrow's high, and then maybe a stop under here, because that would be a little hammer candle, and maybe we play for a bounce and then update my stop as time goes. But I mean, I like that it's in bullish context, and it's just kind of a product of what we've been seeing in volatility, right? But if I enter right now, where'd my stop go? Maybe today's low. The problem that I have with that is it's like right here. So if I was to start a position, it'd be very small. And then maybe if we start to break those levels, then I start to add a little bit. But overall, when I look at this chart, when I look at the daily, when I look at, or the 15-minute chart, it's not going to be these aren't going to be full-size positions because they're a product of a volatile environment right now. The only one that I felt comfortable going full size was, and I didn't still, by the way. The only one that I would feel comfortable if it was holding up a little bit better, but that was the Kroger position where I took just over a half size position. Right, we're above a rising 50-day, above a rising 200. The setup looked good. It was in bullish context. It was an area that was holding up in a volatile environment for the most part. It was just pulling back while other stuff was doing good. I mean, even then, right? Even though it's a lower beta name too, in theory, versus some of these other names I'm pulling up, you gotta really focus in on that, the beta of the position. And for those that don't beta, it's just the volatility of it, right? SRPT. I'm not really a fan of this one. This looks a little scary to me, right? I'm sure you'll see bounces, but once again, like, where's my stop gonna go? Where would I be wrong? So when I come to fade, like when I look to fade something, I'm like fading like a big name, right? It's like Apple or it's Google or it's one of these bigger names. If it's something like a therapeutics company, a biotech, like my position's even smaller, right? If it were to happen, I don't think I've done that. Or I'd be looking at an ETF, right? So like, for example, XBI or IBB, right? So look at this. This thing's getting cracked. So this one I'd feel a little bit more comfortable probably trying to fade. But I just don't like how some of these are set up. I'd rather be a buyer with it higher, with a better risk to reward than buy it lower and just pray and hope that it comes up. Or buy it knowingly that my stop is probably going to get hit.
And Colombia Central Bank holds interest rates at 9.5%. Does note that it was supported by the majority of 7 board members as Colombia Central Bank holds interest rates at 9.5%. Reuters' consensus was for 25 basis point cuts.
This kind of makes sense. This is pulling into an area that's had prior support, and it's actually, the more times support is hit, the more likely it is to be potentially broken. But it's been a strong move down, so to see a bounce might make sense.
They set to high today by $1.11 at $74.74 per barrel.
Okay, if I draw this out, let me remove this. So MU, notice here too. Notice how when price is kind of going sideways, look what the 200 day is doing. It's actually respecting that quite nicely, and it's actually starting to decline. That's not a great sign, but you can potentially play bounces back up, but just be aware that it's been rejecting from it. So this could be not a great sign for MU. However, what would be a good sign? Well, if it bounces up, comes back in, maybe a higher low and so forth, maybe we reject from this, shakes people out, but eventually starts to flatten back out and turn back up. I mean, that would be a lot better. But right now, you'd be actively trying to play shorter term bounces in a range. So this is a range, right? You get these big moves and maybe pop back up, and you kind of just create the trade around that type of setup. So if I were to go long now for thinking that we might bounce, my stop would be at the low of today's trading session or just under that, right? So once again, this would be kind of my setup right here, which I'm not in it, but this would be the risk, and then maybe the reward where I'd go back to break even, right, is if it goes up like up to here, which would be an easy move for this name. Maybe then I'll update my stop. but maybe you want to play back into the 50-day, right? So then you're looking at maybe a 3-for-1 risk to reward. But I'd still update my stop as time goes, or maybe I'd take partial profits here and then see if it can go the remainder too. So you kind of got to play with it. China names, yeah, let's take a look there. China names have been strong, and this thing's still holding up. KWeb's doing great. It's above a rising 50-day. They're obviously a lot more choppy, a lot more sloppy. Let's just take a look really quickly at the dollar. They tend to do better when the dollar's falling. So look at how the dollar fell this year. What did KWeb do this year, right? It rose. Now we're in a kind of a period that I showed him a previous episode of mine showing kind of like how the dollar seasonality is really matching what happened in 2017 on Trump's first year, and it's kind of matching. You know, that's not an end all be all, but it is just kind of interesting. So you look at the dollar. It was basically this day we talked about a potential bounce, and well, we bounced. It's kind of moving around here sideways. But if the dollar gets more steam to the upside, they could put a pause on the China names. But remember, the dollar ended up falling hard in 2017. We saw massive rallies, okay? But it continued to the downside, which ended up being good for various kind of emerging market type of trades, including some China stuff. Thanks, Zion. I'll have to kind of look through the JPM caller a little bit more before I give any sort of opinion. Right now, for me, it's just levels. I don't really read too much into the narratives or anything like that. I'd imagine that it's always going to be more, you know, bullishly leaning, but this time around, it doesn't. It's not like to me, it's kind of underwhelming. It is not. It's really not anything great, to be quite honest. So, once I put it on my screen and kind of look at stuff, well, I'll revisit it. But I mean, what do we have? We got, what was it, 58.80, right? 52.90 and 52.50. So it's not, you know, would I call it bearish? I feel like it'd be more neutral than anything, but we will see. Come on, S&P 500, just rip up here. Pay me $1 million. How about that? What's this? Who is this? Is this somebody I know? Give me 1 second. I'm gonna grab some new water, fresh water. Be right back.
An update from Guyana. Guyana's tender board says that 7 energy firms submitted bids for the gas project phase 2. I just want to be aware of at the top of the hour, we'll be looking at any potential commentary from Fed's Barkin, who's set to be speaking on CNBC. Just some commentary from the Colombian finance minister. Says the Colombia government expects rate cuts in the next policy meetings, and the Colombia government suggested rate cuts to boost growth.
Ah. Yeah, the JPM trade did happen. Got a message, and I was like, I didn't know what the message was from, but somebody that we know did the audition for American Idol, and they got their golden ticket, which is kind of cool. All right, let's take a look at some of these other names. I use the tick chart. I like to just look at like extended levels. It's typically around 1,000, 900 to 1,000, and I like to just do quick little fades. Really, honestly, nothing more than that. Now, it changes if I look at the tick chart from a cumulative perspective. That's different. I look for bullish divergences, right? So there's a couple ways to look at tick charts. A lot of people look at cumulative, which means that you could see, you know, if it's going up or lower or higher or down. But on just the tick chart itself, I like to look for extensions. Yeah, I looked at Tesla quite a few times. Give me 1 second here. Right, like for example, right now, let's watch. So if we can get you know, a lower reading down here, that could be potentially one of those things where I kind of where I will look to fade. What do you mean I'm not a fan of Tesla? Are you kidding me? I'm literally sitting in a Cybertruck as we speak. All right, so check it out. Watch. So the market's coming in here. Pretty volatile. So if we can come down to around this area, sometimes I like to scalp a couple MNQs. Oh, gotcha. I didn't quite get down there, unfortunately. Did not get there. That'll happen. Adobe. Yeah, we'll pull up all these. Okay, let's pull up Adobe. All these charts look like crap. They really do. I think that these are all like, it just goes to the whole, like you can probably walk away for a month or more and come back if it's higher and then consolidates. But a lot of these charts are just like, you got to be actively trading it. That's like, it's all you can do. You know, you have a declining 50, declining 200. Yeah, it's extended from those. So yeah, we'll probably see a bounce. Below declining 5-day moving average. I think there's going to be opportunities in all this stuff. This is where it comes down to like, okay, are you talking about Adobe for a smaller trade, or are you talking about like a larger investment, or like an investment for a longer period? Because then it changes the perspective of things too.
Democratic lawmakers say Federal Communications Commission chair has launched sham investigations to intimidate news organizations and are seeking records of trips with Trump, according to Reuters, citing a letter.
Citing a letter. J&J. This is holding up. This is holding up a lot better. You have earnings around the corner, which a lot of the financials will be reporting earnings first. A couple healthcare names like UNH. But this one's been doing pretty good this year. Right, so if you're long this, probably have a stop down here. Play it up to here. Maybe it presses higher. Maybe it goes like this sideways, consolidates a little bit more. Yeah, a lot of charts look the same as the markets right now. That's just what you get. You know, it's just a correlated market, positively correlated market. So that's where you try to look for things, look for sectors, look for industries, look for individual names that are not quite correlated. Yeah, Adobe for longer term. Yeah, so then you just look at the longer chart, and then you kind of just pick out kind of how you want to go about it. It hasn't gone anywhere for a while, but yeah, I mean, so
update for Brazilian real watchers. Brazil's planning minister says President Lula to veto only a few parts of the budget bill.
You'll probably see it bounce at some point somewhere, try to come back up and tune around 480, 500, but you're underneath a lot of these key levels, so this could take a very long time for it to kind of go back into like a markup phase. A markup phase is when you got the 40-week or 30-week moving average, start to turn up from after being down. A good example, like I think I was showing COMP for that. I was showing a bunch of different ones, but whoa, dang it. You have these decline phases, right, where the 40-week, 30-week is going down. Then you go through an accumulation phase, right? And then you have the 40-week start to turn back up again, and you have price action consolidate. And these are the early potential stages of a markup phase. And that's kind of really where you want to get these longer term investments, right? But I can see the case for like big companies, right? Big, like for example, I'm doing it in Nike. Nike's in a downtrend, and but that's like a longer term hold for me. So if I look at Nike, right, I'm starting to build a position in Nike, and this chart looks like crud. There's also some levels that I'm looking at that probably go over the head of most people, right? So the levels that I'm looking at on Nike looks like this. Let me show you. I'm looking at it at a weekly time frame. Okay. So first, I have the pandemic low, which is basically where price is at there. So I was looking to build basically into and around this 65-ish range, down to and around 55, and then just letting it go. But then if you go back to the great financial crisis right over here, which doesn't even look like a financial crisis compared to what we're seeing here. Gotta probably put it on log chart. But let me show you something. We'll anchor a VWAP to the low. And what do you know? Notice, surprisingly enough, let me fix this. And by the way, this thing hasn't even been tested. So this is the financial crisis low. It was, I guess, tested right here, but we haven't actually even come back to it. This is the closest we've been back to it for a while. So we have the pandemic low. We have confluence of the VWAP from the financial crisis. I just don't, can it go lower? Yeah, absolutely. But this big of a company, right? And we have, I think in April, right? We get a new, Donahue is gone. Donahue, whatever. So hopefully, they bring some new products to market. They kind of re-energize what's been going on at the company. But I just see this as a good entry to play it into 100, play it into 150, be back up in here over the course of who knows how long, right? But that's why I'm looking at this from a longer term kind of perspective and building into a position where I know there are some levels of interest. And could you just wait, right? Maybe if it comes up like this and does this and looks like this later and sets back up, you can just do it over here, right? Where everything starts to look better from an average perspective. But yeah, that's just a quick little thought there. So if you do the same thing with Adobe, right? Just map out some levels, see if it makes sense. Set your trade up and then let it do its thing. For me, this account, the one that I'm really actually building the main position to, it's legitimately not going to be touched for probably 18 years. I'm literally just buying some Nike in my son's stuff. So. Along with other things, right? So some individual names, which are going to be smaller positions comparatively to like a contra fund or something like that. or VU or VTI. I just
and
like
also just
regular
making you aware on
investments,
the
but I like to
Fed
add some
footing,
juice.
Fed Williams
some,
is currently
some
live on
individual
Yahoo
names.
Finance, giving you an
'Cause if they
interview.
hit,
That's also Fed
they can hit
Williams,
big.
currently live on Yahoo Finance. We're not yet to hear from Bostich, who's due on CNBC any moment now.
Let's go back over to 0 date really quick. I just want to see if anything's changed here from this perspective. 5605 would be the call wall, and we have a lot of attention over here at 5600, which we're about 4 points from. So we're getting a little hung up. I'd like to see traders reach out a little bit further to feel a little bit more confident that that price can get up and going here. Got this is the power hour.
And seeing some initial remarks here from Fed Williams, does note it is early days in figuring out impact of tariffs. And as mentioned, this is a live interview on Yahoo Finance. There is still a lot of uncertainty around tariffs, and details matter.
Oh yeah, with Adobe and Photoshop. I mean, Adobe's huge. They got a lot of products. Especially, you gotta understand, like, content generation is still a huge thing. And even like that job of a content creator is large. And Adobe products, they've led the way on that, but there are some definitely competition coming out and taken away from them. As far as Adobe has been pretty decent with adding in some AI stuff, and it's been pretty good. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, can they actually really step it up and lead the way there? Because, I mean, it's going to be like Blockbuster and Netflix, right? Blockbuster didn't move fast enough, sort of, and Netflix took over the scene. They were behind the curve.
With Williams, does note, need to watch
Adobe
data
seems
to
like
measure the
they're
impact
pretty innovative.
of tariffs.
So we'll see. Sometimes when you get really big, it becomes such a large ship, it's hard to turn it. Whereas if you're a small mobile company, right, you can pivot a lot quicker and move a lot faster, right? So you can approach things with a little bit more risk focus, but when you get to Adobe's size,
separately, seeing comments from Fed's Barkin now on CNBC. He does note it's going to take a while before they get clarity on tariff impact. And going back to Williams, the full impact of tariffs can play out over a long horizon.
Palm Tree, I'll take a look at GEV. Yeah, let me see. The JPM levels came in the options chain, DD. So if you pull up the SPX options chain, you'll see it. Just look at the time. You'll see them. You'll see the orders. Organizing the biggest orders.
From Williams does note tariffs will impact prices.
Hood. So yeah, what's going on with Hood? It's just it's not horrible. It's not horrible. It's it's still up on the year.
And going back to the 2027
I would like to see it kind of shape up a little bit better to feel more confident.
Suppliers are emboldened, and so they will have to pass on higher prices. And continuing with Barkin, does note consumers say they are tired of paying higher prices, while Williams does note consumer goods should see quick pass-through from tariffs. And Barkin is not convinced higher prices won't be passed on or that there won't be inflation. While going back to Williams, does note intermediate goods could see slow impact from tariffs.
I'm not 100% positive, Borno, but I think somebody just answered that for you. Their standard deviation bands, just untoggle them. I don't remember quite if I untoggled them or how that worked, but yeah, so Hood doesn't look all too bad over here. It's just like it probably needs to reclaim some levels to feel a little bit more confident. It is putting in a higher low. The market, so this is important to know. So it came down with market.
And Barkin notes to cut rates, you need confidence on inflation. Barkin notes to cut rates, you need confidence on inflation.
Fed talk. So to note, the market put in a new low, right, today, Qs, SPY. You got to pay attention to things that didn't. And Hood's one of them that did not, at least now, right? So it has a higher low. So if the market's actually going to find a bottom, these are the type of names you might want to pay attention to because they can lead to the upside, right? That's not to say that this, they can't go down, but that is one of the important factors to pay attention to if you're like looking at the index products too, right? If I look at Qs are at the highs of the trading session today. They put in a new low. Okay. SPY, what about SPY? All right, SPY put in a new low. Okay, where are we at? Oh my gosh, is this market just ripping right now in our faces? Holy moly. Thing is going. So that would be you know, something you know, to pay attention to. Yeah, SPY is moving right now. I don't know how to untoggle the standard deviation bands. Maybe it's in the settings, like when you do it, right? Market net flow still bullish. It's not cranking right here by any means. So I think that was a reaction to something that Barkin was saying. Yeah, the chart on Hood is significantly better than Nike and Adobe, but we're talking completely different companies. But the chart, if we're just looking at charts, way better. Way better. Like light years better. GEV, yeah, so let's take a look at GEV. This market's going, man, I'm loving this. I am very happy that I got some exposure earlier. And I'm not going to talk about this position. I might talk about it after the close, but I didn't want to bring this one up in stream because I don't want to. GEV, yeah, so same story, right? It came down with market volatility, and we have a higher low. You know, and the market put in a lower low. So these ones, once again, this chart looks like Hood, to be honest. Literally, it's like the same thing. But GEV, right, came into this 200-day. It's still inclining. The 50-day, actually, so we broke it, saw some, you know, and then it's now holding its resistance. So you might need some time for this thing to heal. But it is still worth noting that we have the higher lows still, and that's a positive sign. So if you find names that went with the market, but yet are diverging ever so slightly by putting these higher lows, I think that is at least worth the mention and the note, and put it like in your back pocket, because if the market were to find a bottom, sometimes these are the things that come out and lead the way. Wolf banter. Yeah, it's a good bounce. It is a good bounce. Let's see if it can continue. Let's get a bigger squeeze. I do need to get ready to kind of close this out. I was hoping to see this thing just crank. It's doing pretty good. I'm gonna actually, I gotta sell a little bit of this because I can't. Let me just, give me a second, sorry. Maybe I'll post the trade up. Maybe I'll post the trade on Twitter afterwards, but. You found it? Cool, perfect. I'm gonna try to make a video tonight. Yeah, just kind of give thoughts about the market, and I'll update that JPM caller, give some thoughts there. I see some things on some of my charts that I kind of want to talk about, but I don't feel like bringing it up on stream. Today was a fake out day. I honestly don't think much people were prepared for this. Good thing, you know, if you do have market net flow, it's been bullish the entire trading session. We knew that the JPM caller was going to hit. We saw it right when it hit, and the market responded good so far. Market was down. Now it's up 56 basis points. So if you're outperforming the market today, or you're flat on the day, you know, good. A big comeback. So I think these type of days are okay to add some exposure in, just to see if we are going to try to find some sort of a little bounce, but you just got to treat it as such because we're below these declining 5 days, right? Look at the other SPY. Let's look at Qs. Qs is basically at the quarterly expected move. This is the lower quarterly expected move. We got this at the end of the year last year, and we're basically here, right? So we're going to get new quarterly expected moves. I'm going to be posting those. Maybe I'll talk about that in the market brief too for the SPX. Yeah, we got end of quarter rebalancing. So a lot of this stuff right now we're seeing could be a product of window dressing, right? It's very, very possible. And it's just volatility, right? This is just volatility. My kids in the background going, wah. Wah. All right, we'll look at some other of these names. I'm going to pull up my tight list. I'm going to go through some of these. How high will Wolf bounce? I haven't seen that name for a minute. Let's see it. Oh my gosh, this is so volatile. Holy moly. It's up 16% today, and it looks like hasn't even budged. It's so funny. I don't know. Say if we bounce up here, that's 56%. That's absolutely bonkers. These are the type of names where you don't really need much to put any capital into it, and you can have pretty nice gains. But if you go too big in size, you get shaken out, too, scared out. Where are we? We're just at the vol range. Boom, we're there. So as far as a bigger bounce today, maybe if we get some sort of squeeze, but we got out of it and we came right back in. This is the upper vol range. This is implied volatility. Good move. 5% day. Dang, Dan, that's crazy good. That's killer. I didn't have that much exposure on. I don't know where I'm at for the day as far as percentage because I did sell some of my TLT, so it kind of looks a little bit off, but I'll do the calculations. It's probably around maybe 1% or so right now at least. We'll see where the day ends. Maybe a little bit more than 1%. Actually, no, it has to be more because this is a new all-time high for me in my portfolio. I think. Let me see here. Yeah, new all-time high for my portfolio today. Although now that I mentioned it, the market's not closed yet, so you played some TMF options. Oh, okay, cool. Nice. Kind of wish that I actively traded some more futures today, but it was rather choppy this whole day. Like even on the breakup higher, it was not an easy kind of like hold sort of day. So I got my trades in earlier in these different firms, and I think I'm gonna close them out right now because not positions, but I'm gonna close out the tabs because I don't think that I want to even risk it with 40 minutes left here. And then I think I'm gonna go ahead and just sell this too, and I'll leave just a little bit on just in case if we get some random squeeze, but otherwise this is going to go to 0. Yeah, I did play just for the fun of it today. I did a 563 call in one of my accounts that I so that was now the second or third time that I did an options trade. A 563 call when we were like down here. It didn't go anywhere. It was like, I think I got it at like 2 cents or something like that. It was like $100. Sorry, no, my average price was 4 cents, apparently. 4 cents was the average price. Those are the names that I don't really talk about because there's such a strong lose rate to those, but that's actually one of my more, like, that's the only 0 date that I've traded this year. Last year was the only other time. But I don't risk big money on that stuff. $100 I'm fine with. Paid out pretty good. Pretty darn good. Now, if it actually gets to 563, that'd be crazy. I don't have that much on anymore. I have 10 left. Yeah, it was a lotto trade. It was quite literally just a little lotto trade. It was nothing, right? It was like what did I risk? 100 or 150, maybe 150, maybe 200 bucks, right around there. I've locked in the bulk of the product, so now I have, basically it's valued at about 100 bucks right now. I have unrealized $92. So I'll just hold on to that and see if it turns into anything. If it does, great. If it doesn't, it is what it is. But I did lock in some. For those that know, I kind of want to that want to understand that process. One, I don't do those frequently at all, but I figure today being the JPM caller day, we've seen these big rip ups, and after we started very far down, my thought was, for whatever reason, if we were to come all the way back up to the upper daily implied move, like a very far chance of that ever happening, right? Far chance. But if it was going to happen any day, I was thinking like this could be the day that it could happen. But now I pretty much killed my position completely off. I have a few left, so yeah. IBM, yeah. Let's take a look at IBM. I haven't seen that one for a minute here. IBM, a couple percent today. Nice, it's holding up. Just consolidating. Yeah, this is holding up really well too. 50-day rising, 200-day rising. We had just some consolidation. This is actually holding up really well in this volatility of the market. That's good. We have earnings coming around the corner, like we do with most of these names. How many days did it take to get funded with Tradeify? I just bought straight in, DD. I didn't even bother with that. I just said I'm buying it. Yeah. They have I think it's the same. I think our promos are the same actually, but you can do like the 30% off using code MAR. I think I even have one too. I think it's the same, but you can check FOM and check to see if it is the same or not. That's just I think I set that up during the process. But yeah, I went straight to funded because I didn't want to deal with all of that. So I'm a funded trader there. It's fake. It's sim funded. And I've traded now for, let's pull it up. Let me pull it up. Give me a second. Before I pull it up on screen, I got to make sure that it's not showing any personal information. But let me see here. Yeah, I got, okay. It shows username. I don't know if I can show that stuff. So I have, okay. I have multiple accounts, but I've only had one that's been active for more than a day. So I have a total of 4 accounts. I've only had 4 accounts. So I have a total of 4 accounts. And I've been actively trading now one of the accounts for 5 days. I've been trading micros. I'm up $730. That's in 4 days. It hasn't updated today. And then my other accounts, I was like, I'm going to just go ahead and add these in to do copy trading. So I have now 4 accounts, 3 of which I've only traded today. I didn't buy them today. I bought them actually a bit ago, and I just traded them today. I didn't see anything, so I didn't trade them. So a lot of the times, if you trade these prop firms, what people typically do is they'll go too heavy too fast, right? Because they want to make the money. But that's also how you blow up fast. So I'm just like, I just know for a fact, like first off, like the rules here, like you have to trade for 10 days. Your consistency rate has to be 20%, meaning that no one single trading day can be 20% or more of your total profits. So I know for a fact, if I'm just trading a micro or 2 micros, maybe up to 3 or 4, right? I can control it. It's going to take me a while to get to that $9,000 level right? I mean, like I said, it's been 5 days and I'm at like 700, I'm like $800. So it's, and by the way, I did 150 account, so you don't need to do 150 account. Actually, it'd probably be more beneficial if I didn't do the 150 account, because I'm trading like 1 or 2 micros. So it probably would have been better for me to do the smaller account if I wanted to get paid out sooner. But I figured I can leave my trades on a little bit longer and not have to worry about them too much. And if I have a day that's down $300, like it's not gonna affect the account. So we'll see. I mean, you're probably gonna want to check back in with this, you know, if I don't go on like some sort of tilt ride or something like that, you know, just say screw it. But if I keep them on, I mean, you probably check back in a month or 2 and I'll see where I'm at, right? If I'm there yet. It's going to be a while. Which, by the way, it shouldn't be easy to make money on this stuff, because it shouldn't be easy, because it's their business is to just bring on failing traders. That's their business model. Did I miss a TLT analysis? Yeah, so I can walk you through TLT. So TLT looks good. It looks really good. I've been trading around TLT. So I got out this morning of one of my last final positions. I sold in one account. I got out this day. I bought here, right? And I got out this day, and then I sold at open today on my other account. And I'm looking to re-enter it. I think TLT is really holding up pretty nicely here. And I think that this could be a good player. Personally, I think that, so I'm just trading it actively. Part of me is thinking about just adding some of this stuff into a longer term account too, and just having it and collecting, you know, dividends and trying to, hopefully that it goes up in price too. But that was one trade over here. This came into, you know, the zones document that I post. So I did that one. And then over here too, I think it was this day I traded it as well, right in and around these areas, and I sold into it, I think this day, and I was out, not perfectly here. It was more like when it started reversing, and I was like, I'm just gonna get out the rest of it. And then I did the re-entry. So I've been just doodling around in here, getting kind of lucky, playing some key levels, right? Like this was a reversal. That made sense to me. This was playing an extension to the downside, fading it, and it's still holding up good. So for me, yeah, I mean, I'm just looking for it to set up again. I love these type of pullbacks and where price action gets tight and it kind of opened that kind of setup for me where I like to buy into that. Now we have this expansionary move, so I'd prefer to wait to see how it consolidates, right? We might come right back up here really fast. Then maybe we can consolidate, or maybe we break through it and then pull back and consolidate. So I'm just going to see how it sets up again and go from there. If you're looking longer term stuff, I mean, pull up the weekly chart, right? Pull up the weekly chart. You'd be like, okay, well, I mean, the 10-week moving average is sloping up. You got the 30-week down, 50-week down, 40-week down. So your stop would probably be down more here, or give it even more space. Be like, if you think that this is the bottom is in for TLT, I mean, maybe your stop's down here at 84, right? So you can start buying in or like getting in, and your stop is, I mean, that's only 6-7% away, right? It's not like it's crazy. Most of my trades that are higher beta are typically around 6-7 to 8%. You know, that's where my risk management levels are. And if it's bigger because of the beta is higher, I mean, my position size is really small then. So TLT allows me to get a little bit bigger size, but that's only because the beta is a little bit less, you know. Eddie, the business model I'm talking about is like in the prop firm space, right? These little, I mean, I say this with quotes, prop firm. Prop firms are like, I mean, they're not actually prop desks in my opinion. They're not prop desks because they're not actually funding with real money. You're just basically in a fake account trying to extract money from them. And if you end up extracting money, then they'll move you to a live account, but you're only using the funds that you made. So a real proprietary trading desk, they will fund you real money, and you're with traders, typically at a trade desk and or virtual trade desk. But to become actually actually a trader at a proprietary firm that trade their strategies and their models, like it's not just going in and paying them $50 or $150. You know? Yeah. As NetFlow reminds, do you use for that, please? Yeah, I use TradeETX for NetFlow. I use TradeETX. There's a couple of services out there that do this kind of stuff a little bit differently, but I've always used kind of TradeETX for this. Market net flow looks fine. We are starting to lose convergence here. I mean, SPY's coming in a bit. Red line's going up, green line's going up. Yeah, DD, I did the direct funding, which, you know, if you're new to the whole thing, maybe do the smaller account and don't do direct funding, and then try it out and see how it works, right? I'm kind of familiar with it, not with that company by any means, but I'm familiar with the rules because I looked it over and I was like, and I just didn't want to go through a test. So I just figured, I'll just pay it up and I'll just trade small. See what we can do. Right now I'm in a few different ones. So I'm in Take Profit, which they closed out one of my accounts for a stupid reason, and I'm kind of butthurt about that still, because I left an order that was kind of out there. It wasn't actually filled. It was just in the tape, and then they closed out my account because I accidentally left an order on the DOM, and my account was closed out because of it. So that really kind of bugged me, but it was my fault. So it is what it is. It's just, I feel like they could have just closed out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was an accident. Like, come on, whatever. So that one, Tradeify, and then I do have Apex, and I'm not really a huge fan of them. But I'm giving it a shot on their 50K accounts, just trading a micro and seeing what happens. I've traded them a couple of times. There was one time where I did break a rule, and that was once again my fault. So no payout. So this time around, I'm paying more attention to rules. And we'll see what happens. Right? My main accounts, my bread and butter is actually my swing accounts. Like that's where I make my money, right? But I figured during this volatile time, why not give these a shot? And if I can actually pull some profits from them and show them and kind of teach some of the strategies that I use to get there and share the patience that comes along with it, I'll be happy to do so. And hopefully we can all kind of share within that. But what I won't do is I'm not going to be flaunting gigantic payouts. At least if it's a big payout, it's not going to be flaunted. I'm going to kind of walk you through it if that's the case. And I'm definitely not going to drive around in a Lamborghini or do anything stupid that just does not make sense for my personality. You know? I'll tell you what, if I extract $50,000 from them in this year, maybe more, who knows? Maybe less, maybe nothing. If I extract that much, I'll tell you what, dude. I'm gonna get rims on my Ford Fusion. How about that? And then I'm gonna make a cool video of me cruising away in my Ford Fusion Hybrid with sweet rims that are completely pointless. No, I'm not gonna do that. That would be hilarious. Put some spinners on it. Oh, that'd be too funny. Who would do that? Spinners. Who remembers that? That was like what? 2002? AQN? Yeah, we'll take a look. We want spinners on those way out, man. Too good. How are my accounts lined up? Do you have an IRA? Yeah, I have longer term accounts that I don't bother. Like, so I tell people, do things in 3 buckets, right? You don't need to do one or the other. Investment accounts, they rarely get touched, and I'll just put money into it, right? It's not like, I don't get to a point where I'm like, yeah, worried about anything. They're there, right? They're there and I put some money into it. Big deal. Whatever. Boom, to the side, right? These are in ETFs. They're in funds, right? Like I say, I'm a fan of Contra Fund. I just always been a fan of Contra Fund. It's a well-managed fund. It's through Fidelity. There's other ones that kind of match that. I gotta look now. Gosh, VU SPY, right? VU VTI or something like that. Basic stuff. It's really simple. I have some like a small portion goes to global, a small portion goes to smaller mid cap type of stuff, and it's very basic stuff, right? And I'll just put some money in there. Every once in a while, maybe I'll just be like, I'll buy a few shares of a certain stock or whatever, and I'll just have it in there. Okay, but it's not going to be like, I'm not going to have a Nike position that's 30% of my portfolio, right? It's going to be 2%, right? Maybe, if it's a big company, right? It's not going to be crazy. I mean, if it's a crazier, smaller company, like for example, I was looking into PCT, which I haven't executed in yet, but that would be like 0.5% of my portfolio, which makes a big difference if that were to turn into like a 10x sort of thing, because then all of a sudden that 1% or 0.5% turns into much more valuable, and then I'd have to adjust that. But that would be the investing bucket. Then you have a swing trading bucket. This is more active, right? I'm like in here every 3 days to 3 months, right? For positions. And this is the account where I'll actually like go into the United States Investing Championship, and I'll verify this account. This account, I don't really care to verify it, because if the market's going down, my account's going down. If the market's going up, my account's going up. That's just that account, right? I don't care about it. I care about it, but I don't focus on it like that. So this is the more active one. And then I have the day trading stuff, which is basically the swing trading account, but sometimes it's a separate account a little bit, and where I'll just actively, like if it's volatile, if the market makes sense, I'll try to make trade here and there. It's not that active. And I'll try to take some money out, and I'll actually take that money and I will spend it on things, right? So it's very important that if you make money, you got to take it out of the market and actually look at it and feel that it's real, because a lot of the times people will like make, they'll be like, oh, I want to make $10,000. It's like, do you even know what that does? Like $10,000? Like, it depends on your lifestyle and everything, but the reality is, if you make $300, like that's enough groceries for like a week for some people, right? Not these days, but you get my point, right? So if I'm making a few bucks a day, like people, it's funny because I used to trade and you only made $50. I'm like, yeah, I made $50 consistently over the course of a month, and that's $500-600, which is more than a car payment, which I don't have any car payments. But wait, no, I do have a car payment right now. I do, yeah. I don't. Well, my wife does. But it's like a car payment, right? Or $300 or whatever. But then I just look at it like that. Or if I make $100, like that's like a good date night. And I want to spend the money. But, no. So is that a third bucket IRA? I don't take out of that. No, the IRA is just the IRA is a longer term account. So the investment bucket, I don't just have 3 accounts. Like the investment bucket could be multiple retirement accounts, which it is, right? I have IRAs, I have a SEP IRA, I have an account from before, like I have my old fund from when I worked in corporate, right? You can have multiple IRAs, and you could also do backdoor IRAs. Pay the Cybertruck in full. No, we have a Tesla. It's pretty much paid off. I've been chipping it away at it, but I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, what's the point of paying this off right now when the interest rate on it's like nothing, and I'm all sitting there like making like $1,000 payments, right? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what's the point of? And then we traded a Range Rover in for it, so we really owe nothing on it. So I don't know why I just don't pay it off, but the interest rate is legitimately nothing. And that car was only like 30,000, right? Like, or 30, 40,000, whatever it was. It was a Model Y, a basic model. And then we had a referral credit and we had a trade in, so it was even less. There's an inactivity time limit. Yeah, DD, you are absolutely correct. There is there is. And I have to remind myself of those offset rules, right? So that one of the reasons why I traded today was like, oh, I actually have to trade because they make you. SPY is moving right here. Are we going to my 563? Oh my gosh, let's go. It's in my little option trade isn't moving much. It's actually kind of moving, actually. Maybe I should sell into it a little bit. Should I sell a remainder of my option stuff, or should I just hold it? What do you guys think? I'm only down to 10 now, 10 contracts. I know that sounds like a lot, but I'm talking, these were things where they were at, average price was 4 cents, right? So it's really nothing. It was bigger, and I got out of it, and now it's creeping. Or should I just hold it to see if we get in the money? In my active account, I have no active positions. My swing trading account? No, I have positions on right now. Yeah, I was talking about those ones earlier. Yeah. Do you think I should just hold it? Maybe, should I trim a little bit, maybe? Oh my gosh, this thing is just pressing higher. I'm just watching the numbers on my screen go crazy. By crazy, I mean like moving pretty quickly for the small position that it is. Sell and book. Everyone's saying hold it and sell and book. How would I go meet halfway? Like, come on. I mean, I did book the okay, so just so you know, it was about $150, maybe $200 around there. I think a total of I can't remember how much. Basically, the average price is, I spent about $150, $200. My average price is 4 cents. So it's at, and then I sold them off, and I only have a few left. But now it's like unrealized is like at $193, right? Or $200 right now. You know? So it's like, I'm gonna clip a couple. I'm just gonna lock it in. I'm so cheap. I'm gonna clip half of it, and then I'll keep 5 on, and then I'll just let that go either to 0 or whatever. I'm clipping it off. There we go. Okay, so when I told about the trade, it was at $90 unrealized. That little move right there brought it up to like 100 or 200. So I just trimmed it right back down to $90. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, I took off 50%. I took off half of it again. We'll see what it does. It's so close to the close. Actually, you know what? It's right to the close. I actually have to. Oh no, it's not going to get a sign. It's not going to get to 563. No way. They might. I don't think that they're going to close it out for me. Robinhood would have closed it out for me. Market news apps is I actually just have on. So on Thinkorswim, right? On Thinkorswim, you can go to chat rooms, and then it brings up this thing right here, and you can go to global news. And if you go to global news, it's going to bring this up and just show you active news stream from News Squawk, and you could listen to it if you want, or just watch it. And that's a free news feed. Is this month-end markup? I mean, quarter-end, month-end, probably. So we'll see. We'll see there. Leave one runner. Leave one runner. Oh, so that $90 just turned into $30 in like 2 seconds. It's going to I mean, we have 15 minutes left. It'd have to come. We'd have to see this thing rip. That $90 like literally evaporated. So I'm glad I locked in. I'm glad I locked in.
Hyundai does warn US dealers it may change auto prices after April 2nd when new tariffs are set to take effect.
I'm looking at this like it's life-changing right now. It's like it's at $40. Okay, I'm done looking at it. I just want to close it out if it makes a big move. Do I think this is legit or a bull trap? So I don't think that you should have high convictions in this current market, to be quite honest. So right now, I mean, this is what we do know. We had an undercut of this low. We're closing at the highs. We're piercing through this big candle over here after selling off. So what does that tell you from just a price action perspective? Very common to see undercuts. Okay, undercuts shake people out typically. So we had a big gap down, undercut, hit stops, gets people freaked out, closes more towards the high. At least right now it is. And this right here is a 2-bar reversal pattern. It's called I don't know what the hell it's called, but it is a pattern. Two-bar candle, and it typically can mark some reversals. It's more bullish if you're closing more 50% into this candle, which we kind of came into. Okay. But does that mean, so this is what that means. So how would you actually trade this? So if you're long right now, right? If you were scared out here and you got in, great. Like, so I bought in, right? So my stop, where'd my stop go? My stop is going to be at the low
Edward
right
Lawrence,
here,
who
and
is
I'll
with Fox
probably be
Business
taking
on
some
X.
off
He
as
does
price
know
goes
two
higher, if
administration
price goes
sources
higher.
familiar with tariff discussions. So President Trump is still deciding which plan he will take for reciprocal tariffs. Those sources saying he has been presented with multiple tariff plans. And those administration sources say President will likely not make a decision on which plan he takes until right before April 2nd or on the morning of April 2nd. That is via Fox Business's Edward Lawrence, that Trump has not yet decided.
So so when you say bull trap, this actually was more on the hands of a bear trap because we gapped down and we undercut it. You know what I'm saying? So a bull trap, a bull trap was up here. So if you go back to the videos that we posted around this time over here, we talked about the possibilities for a bull trap to occur. And this is where the market looks good. It breaks out to new all-time highs. Everyone's super excited. And then we trap everybody in. So down here, being that we sold off and we undercut the low, this would actually be more on the hands of a bear trap, meaning that you lock bears in and then the bulls take it higher. Yeah, the monthly charts don't look all too good, to be quite honest. Is that what you're pointing to, Daryl? Like, there's a lot of turning over in these things, but it doesn't mean that we can't produce bounces in the meantime. So, do I think that this is going to bounce up? And then a bull trap in this case would be something like this. We break this high. Everyone talks about, oh, it's a double bottom, and then it reverses back in. That would be a bull trap right here. Or you go to smaller time frames, but just if it goes up like this and then comes back down, that to me is not a bull trap. That's just some end of day markup and so forth. Well, I'm glad I locked out some of those profits. Now that $90 is now $16. So you win some, you lose some. But that would have been, that would have been worse if it went from 200 to 16, right? Or 200 to 30 or whatever. I'm glad I locked in some. That's cool. At least right now, watching the last 10 minutes is going to make a run. Any divergence on that low today, or does the data come out after the close? For what PC? For divergences in like on a specific time frame or something? See market net flow. Oh yeah, that's going to be updated. I'll get those updated like at about 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right around there. They update. Those are EOD sort of updates. I don't got the real-time stuff. You locked in some Visa puts? What's up with financials? What's up with Visa? You locked in. Oh, okay, my bad. I read that wrong. You locked in puts. Great. Yeah, good stuff. That thing ripped back. Thanks, Fusion. Hey, what's up, John? Thanks, PC. We're coming about 10 minutes to the close. I guess we can hold off a little bit. I'm ready to go outside and get a little walk. The rain kind of stopped out here, so I need some air. Sent from Butter, but your name is sent from Hunter Biden's laptop. That's pretty funny. Right as you said, rip. Last 10 minutes we are ripping in. Are we ripping right now? I guess I can be a little bit more active, but today, I mean, it was. I was kind of. Oh wow, you're not kidding, huh? That was quite the move there. What the hell was that? Got some news out in Apple or something? That was quite the pop. Got faded quick, but wow, look at that volume that came in there too. That was pretty impressive. Jeez. Glad you had a good day, Dan. I said Dean because that's funny. I saw the D. I'm so dyslexic, I swear. The D and then the R in the EA and read. So I said Dean. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the British guy's giving news headlines. Yeah, I turned it off in the meantime, but because sometimes he just talks too long. The last one we just got was a few minutes ago. He said President Trump is still deciding which plans he will take for reciprocal tariffs, according to sources. My 0 date option has now turned into $1 for those that are interested. From $90 to $1. Hey, but that's okay. We locked in. We locked in some. Thanks, Varma. Yeah, let's take a look actually what the Fed is. The Fed is going to probably try to stay on the path of what the market expects, right? The market, this is, by the way, if you look at these contracts, like this isn't small stuff. This is a huge market, and the market now is pricing in 1, 2, 3 cuts. You know what's crazy is I wonder if they're going to be doing like May 7th, March. That's a while away. We got a little bit of a period of time. You know, depending on what happens here, I wonder if the market's going to try to, if they're going to try to do, that'd be pretty crazy. There's a pretty big probability we don't cut in May, but that'd be an interesting one to watch to see if they like say try to move from 3 to 4. Hey, wait a second here. What is the market value on this thing? I don't want to lose too much here. Market value says $100. Wait, no, that's not right. Market value is $10. Oh, okay. It just didn't update on me. Okay. I'm now minus $8 on the trade. You've heard speculation of 4 cuts. Oh, interesting. From whom? Was it from just like a kind of like a I don't know, like a commenter, or like did anybody Fed member or anything say that? Or speculation. So it's probably just somebody commenting narratives or something like that, like based off of XYZ, we might see 4 cuts. I mean, that'd be crazy. That'd be pretty impressive because that's a big change. That'd be a big change. I'll post that on today's market brief. But the JPM stuff, what was that? It was, I wrote it down. 5880. Damn it. Where did I put it? Let me see here. Give me a second. $58.80. So this is going to come to $58.80. That'll be a short call. 52.90 was it? I'll have to double check. 52.90. And that would be the long put. And then 44.60. So this is going to go to 44.60. I believe that's what it is. Yeah. So I'll redraw this out. All right, we got 4 minutes left to get me in the money here. Come on, let's do it. Nvidia's moving 1% in 2 minutes. Yeah, these markets are going crazy. Remember, it could be just markups. You know, there's a window dressing. Big positions. My knees. These things are moving and grooving. I'll be quite honest. I don't want this to be a fake out move because I have now exposure back into the markets. So, you know, it'd be more beneficial for me if this market actually kind of holds together. But we'll see. Dang, semiconductors is now positive on the day too. Wait, let me check here. No way. SMH. No, okay. Well, I mean, pretty darn close. They might be in the next 3 minutes. Holy moly. Cool. Oh, all right. App, I don't actually have a stream schedule right now, so just set alerts, and that's probably the better way to get to and I'll go live at occasions. It's been very sporadic for me. I have a child that I have to watch sometimes, and sometimes our help falls through and we can't get the help that we need, so it makes it a lot harder for me, at least at this kind of season of my life. But I try to do it. And then I have on YouTube, by the way, because you're on Twitch right now, but apps on YouTube, I do post market briefs. That's my bigger channel. So you're on Twitch. My big channel is actually YouTube. So this the Twitch community, it's like, you know, I get a couple viewers here and there, but this is where I started streaming. But I do market briefs and videos on YouTube where I go into the market, thoughts on the market. Yeah. All right, we got 2 minutes to closing, and then I'm going to close out this stream, people. I hope you all had a good trading day today. It was not an easy trading day today if you were actively trading, but if you were kind of prepared in the morning and you were just watching market net flow, I feel like this was a pretty decent day. You'd have to have kind of, you know, take a little bit of risk down here, but if you knew the 55.50 level during the kind of, you know, scariness out of the opening gate of the market, this is well, it's pretty good day. What happens if the 50 crosses the 200-day on SPY? It's just more data, right? They call that, I believe, a death cross, or I don't know which way it's at right now, to be quite honest. I'd have to look. Let's pull up SPY. But typically, you get counter trend moves. Okay, the 50, yeah. If the 50 goes under the 200-day, it's considered a death cross. So we can go back through history and see what happens during those times to give context. But it's not necessarily a great signal, because if it crosses down in the market and the market drives it down, a lot of the times when you see it first cross, yeah, actually market rips in the opposite direction. But I would be watching just the direction of those averages and seeing how they work over time, right? It's just like if you go back to 2022, which, by the way, this market looks a lot like 2022. See you tomorrow on April Fools. Shoot, that's a good one. Forgot about that. Let's just go ahead and look at actually 4 years here, and I'm going to show you 2022. Notice how the 50-day crossed over here. Okay, so here's your death cross, right? What's so funny about this is the market actually sold off a lot, right? And then we ripped back, right? Then we had the undercut where we saw a big rip too. But do you notice how the 50-day cross right here, this was the death cross. What happened to the market? Ripped up. So everyone probably, I bet you if you go back over here, like it was mentioned, like maybe in my videos or something, but I bet you if you go in like Twitter and you start typing in death cross, or you type in death cross, but you look at like this specific date when it happened, like, so you look at the dates on X, and then you type in like during this time who said death cross, and go see like what people were saying, like they're like super bearish, right, or super bullish or whatever, and then it rips up, and then see what they were saying over here, because I bet you people were like, it doesn't matter, and then sure enough, it technically, or it does matter, it doesn't, and then you get faked out, right? When we went into that big bear market, where we got big movements on both directions. But what I do find interesting here is you see how this sell-off took place, then we ripped back up. I mean, we sold off, we ripped back up, then we undercut it. Even this was kind of an undercut. This was way more volatile looking, but kind of an interesting analog there. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all later. When Russia invaded. Yeah, but Ballistic leading up to that, you should even watch the videos that I posted leading up into that, because I didn't know what was going to happen, but I was well aware of when these commodities and certain things start spiking. And one of the biggest tells that something big was happening was the spike in oil leading up into this. You can go back and look into it, because I was looking at cycles. I was looking at cycle charts and like the sectors. And everything was just telling me, like, screaming that, hey, something seems like it's good. And I always say this, it's going to look obvious in hindsight, or there's going to be a catalyst. And you know, something happened, right? I didn't know what was going to happen, but something happened. All right, guys. I'm going to see you later. See you, Ballistic. See you, Palm Tree. See you, 69. See you, App. See you, DD. Everybody out there on Twitch. See you, Daryl. See you, Serge, Matt, Chris, Kev, Dan, One Wheeler, Denny. See y'all later. Do I have a link to Twitch stream on Discord? I don't have a link to Twitch stream on Discord. No, I don't actually. I don't think I've ever posted it there. It's just on figuring out money on Twitch. You'll see it. You'll see it. All right. Yeah. Yeah, appreciate it if you hit that like button. Thanks, Matt. Hope you guys all had a good day. See you on the next. Bye, Nolan.